All right, everybody. Welcome back. This is our very last Zoom, last day of the program. Before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and announce all the drawing winners for the whole long time of the thing since I totally slacked off and didn't announce them every single week. Um, so the first drawing that we had, Brenda Weiser and Angie Hop were the winners, and I'll do a post where I post what everybody wins. Um, Kate isn't back in Florida until like 10 days, so don't expect those to be sent out before she comes back and forces me to go to the post office with her because I won't go. So when she comes back, she will make me go and put me in her car and we will go and mail those. So it'll be a little bit before they get mailed out, but I don't know if any of you were winners from last year, but it literally took me like 7 months. I sent the stuff home with Kate and she actually mailed them. Horrible. I hate the post office, man. Post office and DMV. Those are like my personal living nightmarish hells. So, um, the next one, the what second, wait, one, two, the third and fourth week drawing, Sarah Elizabeth and Kim, you guys are the winners. I don't, Sarah, yeah, Sarah's on. So I need you guys to send me your addresses. I'll get pictures of everything that was drawn, like what the gift prizes are. Week 5 and 6, I don't think she's on tonight. Antoinetta, co-leader, and Teresa are the winners. And then just for shits and giggles, because the whole program has been so crazy this year with everybody getting sick and me forgetting things because I've been in like flu fog. I went ahead and did a seventh one just to be fun. And Recheka, you were the winner on the seventh drawing. So send me your addresses, those of you that have won. Um, like I said, those were the weekly drawings that I was supposed to post every week, and I suck. But the way that I do those drawings is when everybody comments on those posts, I go through and I number everybody, and then I ask Spirit to send me the number, and the first number that pops in is what I do, and then I match whatever number they gave me to whoever was numbered that. So that's how those are drawn up. Just so you know, I don't pick them. I let Spirit pick them through the numbers game. So we'll get that out of the way. It's up to you guys to get me your addresses. Don't be surprised if after you send them in a week and a half, I message you and say, I need your address again because I can't find the piece of paper that I wrote it on. Hey, I'm a hot damn mess, ladies. I'm not scared to admit it. Don't ever think Nikki has her shit together because really I'm just partially a grown up. So I'm partially a grown up that just happens to have a lot of spiritual information that comes to me. Other areas of my life, still a hot mess. I'm okay with that though. It keeps things fun and entertaining. So what I want to do tonight, guys, is I know we got the vision board. Some of you guys are still working on your vision boards. Absolutely okay. What happens with the holiday program is the group will stay open. It will be where you guys can, like, you'll be able to still go in and here's it'll stay open for like 2 to 3 weeks, okay? Because Kathy has to get all of the recordings set up for the private YouTube channel. She'll post the information how to you guys to get onto that private YouTube channel so you have all of the recordings. The Christmas dinner with kids recording that Kat has that I haven't posted yet, it will be posted, but she has not made her way back to North Carolina yet. She's still traveling and she can't get into her Zoom account to get the recording from the device that she has. So that one may be added late, but it will eventually be added. I know a lot of you were like, that was amazing. I want to be able to do that one again. So don't worry, it will be added. So keep your eyes peeled in the group for the private YouTube channel. Kathy's been very sick. She got what I had, not as bad, probably because she's more diligent at medicating naturally than I am. I was just like, knock my ass out. I'm taking Tylenol, ibuprofen the whole time. But so she will get on that when she gets to feeling better. Don't give up on it. We will get it all up and collaborated, and then you guys that joined the program this year, you guys, it's a private YouTube channel. So only you guys will have the password to it, be able to get in and watch all of the Zooms. Okay. Likewise, even after I archive the group, you guys will still be able to go in and read through all of the threads. Like all of that will stay where you have access to it. It will just, in 3 weeks to a month, it'll be where you can't post in there anymore. The reason I have to do that is because either the first or second year we did the program, it's hard because I want you guys to integrate into the big group too, right? Like I want you guys going in, doing your gratitudes and affirmations in the big group with Kathy and letting other people get to know you. This is how you're going to make connections with each other, with other warrior parents. And what happened like this first or second year in the holiday program, the people that were in it really wanted to stay within that space and have me run that as a prolonged group. And quite honestly, there's 1,800 people in the big group. I don't have the bandwidth to run, tons of open groups the whole time. So eventually it will be where you won't be able to post. I won't be able to post in it, but you will be able to go in and access any of the thread discussions we've done, any of the resources. When Kathy and I get like the resources list up for where you guys can get everybody's links that were speakers, you'll still be able to go in and access those places. So that's one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on with the holiday group. We make it where it becomes kind of like a virtual library for you guys. Any class you ever take with Kathy and I, this is how it works, except for the Zooms don't go on a private YouTube account with any other program, but you can download them to your devices permanently. But what happens is you start building kind of like a virtual spiritual library that you can go back and you can, pull out things, re-listen to things that you may take, like go back and re-listen to the coaching Zooms, guys, because things that didn't hit for you at that time may hit for you in 2 months. And you're like, oh, that was the next piece I needed. So it's also good to look at your measured progress to see where you were. So that's basically it for the housekeeping. Just know, keep your eyes peeled, because that private YouTube, they don't delete the group, Kim. Where'd Kim go? The group or the Zooms?
The YouTube. Did the YouTube delete?
No, when we get all of the recording, what will happen is Kathy's going to take all of the Zoom recordings. She'll put them on the private YouTube channel. They will not delete from there, right, okay. Kathy? I'll go into I'll delete the Zoom recordings because I have to have the space for upcoming classes. But once she gets them to the channel, no, they're there for you guys. Okay. Yeah. So that's the reason that she started doing it that way. All hail to Kathy, because without that, we'd all be just kind of screwed, because Lord knows I don't know how to do any of it. So it makes it really handy though, and it gives you guys access to it all year long if you want. So that's amazing, I think. Other than that, I did want to tell you guys again, if you haven't joined the big group, or if you're in the queue for the big group for Healing Warrior Parents, don't worry. Come January, Kathy and I will start admitting people in. If you're already in there and you're not active and engaging, get active and engage in it. I know some of you are past needing that. That's fine too. But that's how you're going to get the most connections with other warrior parents. That's how you're going to be more involved. That's how you're going to feel like you're more connected to your community, kind of like you felt within the program. So, and sometimes I wish we had more time together, because it's great when you do get to know the other people in the program. Like you guys are just getting to where now you feel comfortable enough to start speaking on Zoom, where I don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot to speak. But that gets easier and easier. Do look forward to some things that we're going to have coming up. Kathy and I are going to get done hopefully in January. So like I said, the quarterly classes, the foundational classes, there will be some pop-up classes for those of you that are dealing with like more ego stuff that are further out, like Lee and Debbie and Recheka, like pop-up check-in classes for you older members that are further along in your journey. For those of you that are newer in your connection, newer in your journey, we're going to be doing a divination tool class. We'll do an ego taming class. We'll do an Abe Hicks death lecture class. We'll do a toolbox class. Like, there's just so many classes. For those of you that haven't ever done trigger work, we'll be offering the trigger work class. We haven't done that one in over a year. I don't think we've done that one even since before COVID. So it's actually been longer than that, hasn't it? Yeah. So, just keep an eye open for that. I will, if I haven't archived the group yet, I'll come in and post those classes within the holiday program so it doesn't get lost in the big group, so you guys can see that, right? Something else you want to look at in the big group, Warrior Week, registration is open, payment plans are set up. If that's something, Becky, I know you had it on your vision board. If that's something that you're interested, I don't know if all of you even know what that is. What Warrior Week is, it is a fellowship retreat that we do every year here in Florida where I live. It's on Madeira Beach. It's not your normal healing retreat, ladies. We're not going to be meditating on the beach at sunrise because Nikki ain't getting up that damn early. First of all, I'm not a morning person. It is a fellowship retreat. It is about cultivating joy, cultivating adventure, stepping into your bravery to hop on a damn plane and go spend 5 days with people you've only seen online, right? We do have things that we do. Rachel Pearson will be there this year. She'll do a gallery reading. I'm trying to get set up a healing sale on sailboats. We have an acupuncturist that comes in. She charges very minimal for the acupuncture session. Last year, some of the ladies brought in a massage therapist. We do memorial crafts, and we set up a memorial kind of shrine on the beach with our kids. And quite honestly, there are a lot of margaritas and shots taken. For those that partake in the smoking of the medicinal herb, there's some of that going on. I don't do that anymore. Too damn old. But there are a lot of just sitting and talking and sharing, swimming, hanging out at the beach. We actually went out and did karaoke last year. It was terrifying. Worst karaoke you've ever heard in your entire life. But so it's just a really good time. If that sounds like, and not everybody there parties. There are party girls, there are non-party girls, there are introverts, there are extroverts, there are hippie girls, there are conservative girls. It's great because we all come together. We're all different walks of life, but we have the fellowship that we walk the same path. So it's really, really cool. If that's something you're interested in, it just occurred to me that not all of you even know what that week is. So that's what that week is. The information for that is in the big group. I know I'm like doing lots of plugs, but it kind of gets lost in the big group. So when I have the smaller, you guys, more of a small huddle, it's easier to get that information out. And for those of you that are interested in it. Other than that, is there any other housekeeping, Kathy, that you can think of that I'm missing?
I can't think of anything right off. But to add on to the plug for Warrior Week, we talk about our kids and we talk about our grief, but that's not the whole focus of the week. Really, the whole focus is getting to know each other, building community. For a lot of you ladies that are new to our healing modalities, you've seen we all have these inside jokes, and it's really fun. We all room together, we share beds, we share pajamas. It's really fun. And
all the things.
And I was terrified the first time Nikki wanted me to come to Warrior Week, the very first one we had in 2019. I was terrified. And I thought up every excuse possible to not go. And now, as soon as I am getting in the car to come home from Warrior Week, I'm already looking forward to next year. It's a truly one-of-a-kind experience, and you will make friends that you will have forever. And there
is a limited number, because when I have to book the place, I have to book a limited number, so it's
Yeah,
not
and
like
we do
yeah.
shopping. Some of us, I always bring my car. Some of us go thrift store shopping all day one day. There's a really cool place called John's Pass, which is going to be within walking distance from the cottages we have for this year. Which is like a huge shopping area with all these really cool stores and restaurants and the very best wine ice cream you've ever had in your whole entire life.
I don't go do any of that. I sit on the beach.
And this year our cottages come with bikes and kayaks and
paddle boards.
It's in Madeira Beach, Kim.
So St. Petersburg area. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't plug Warrior Week enough. The classes and all that are really cool, and I definitely recommend.
Gabby just wants to have the fun.
Healing, but the Warrior Week is where it's at. That's the really good part.
The good thing about it is it's really a place where you can go and you can cut loose. You can be authentic. You can talk about what you need to talk about without any pretense, any
right.
Of
and
that
if you break down and you start bawling your eyes out, nobody is going to judge you. Everybody's going to hug you and understand and walk you through it. And there's literally no substitute for the amount of support that you gain by meeting other warriors in person.
So that's a Warrior Week plug, just so you all know. And if that's something you want to do like Becky did, put it on your vision board. If it's not this year, maybe you hit it next year, whatever it is. So that's a good lead into the vision board. So you can put things like that down. You can put things like that down. I saw, Richeka, you had travel and vacations on yours. So, guys, the first time I did a vision board, I put I wanted to go on a cruise. I wanted to be living in Florida. I put all of these things, and 9 out of 10 of those things have manifested. The deep healing, the connection with leaf, the going on a cruise, the living close to the beach, like these things manifested. So put it down there. The intention for that is amazing. That being said, what I want to do tonight is we're just going to do open discussion. I want to get an idea of where everybody's at. The closing Zoom, what we generally do is we want to know where you're at. We want to know if the program helped you. We want to know what your takeaways were. We want to know how it helped you. If it did help you, we want to know if it didn't help you, what you feel like we could do better. God help us with this year, because woo-wee, but I think we got through it though. We got through it. It's just a lot of sickness going around this year, man. It's crazy. But yeah, those sorts of things. So, I'm going to open it up. If it inspired hope in you for where you're at, where you want to be, if, for some of you, it's just about coming in and being accountable for your healing and using it as your safety pad for holidays, that's okay too, because you're not quite sure how they're going to go. My hope is that even if this is what that was for some of you that have returned for the second and third years, that you were still able to take some pieces away. You know how the human brain is. We hear all this stuff and it's so much information that sometimes repeating a class or repeating a program, it's like, oh yeah, I had forgotten about that. So those are the kind of things we want to talk about tonight. So I'm just going to open it up. If you still have concerns, questions, anything, it's just open forum tonight. Okay. So don't hold back. There are no stupid questions. There are no stupid comments. I hope especially, I know those of you that have been with us before already know this about us, but those of you that are new this year, I hope that you see that you can come into a healing space and it's not all tears. We've had some laughs. We kind of get ornery. We kind of get silly. The vibration is usually generally very high, but also that you can be authentically who you are at any given time. And you don't have to bring pretense here. You don't have to I have to act a certain way. I mean, God help us if any of y'all do think that, because I am not the coach for you if that is the case, because I don't even know how to be proper, even when I do try. So I hope that if anything else you have taken away, that you can be who you are authentically. And it's okay, and that people can love you and accept you for right where you are, who you are, what your truth is, who your children are. And there's strength in that, because I truly believe that becoming our authentic self and being brave enough to live that as who we are, and that comes with setting boundaries, and it comes with a multitude of things. But I believe that is part of the gift and part of what our children do want for us, is to live authentically and really figure out slowly, right, how to step into living our best life. For some of you, that looks like job changes. We've talked about this. For some of you, it looks like moving. For some of you, it looks like setting boundaries. For some of you, it looks like saying no. For some of you, it's all of the above, right? So, I hope this has been a safe, sacred space for you to feel like you can come in authentically and figure some things out in your healing, in your healing, your grief walk or your life walk, either way. So I'm just going to open it up. We just want to know, like I said, what your takeaways to the whole program were. You know, just what your thoughts are, where you're at with it, how you think it helped, and we'll just go from there. Go for it, Brenda.
I'll tell you, this was the best because I was able to learn more how to connect the books, the tools. I learned how to work the pendulum and how to do the cards and the new deck of cards. Last night with the Zoom, I was in the pond with Cody and his sister, and it was amazing. And this whole thing has turned a lot of things around. And but the only part was when Kat said about uh when you go to bed, ask to meet somewhere in your dreams and everything. He wouldn't do it with me, Dakota said, because when I was in the pond, I didn't want to leave.
And that's astute thinking, because I will tell you, Brenda, Leaf does not come to me in dream visits. And I gave that boy cussings a lot of the time, because I was like, he's getting these dream visits. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you coming, giving me a classic dream visit? And when he did come, you guys have heard me say, like, he would come as a ball of light, or he would come invisible, or he would come as a toddler. It's very rare that I've gotten that classic dream visit. I've never gotten the one that's, hey, mom, I'm okay, I'm right here. I've never gotten that one. But they know more than what we know what we need. You can think, hey, I want to do this. Hey, I know what I need. And he's like, no, we're not quite there yet, mom, because I don't want you to wake up missing me. Right. So, and this is a hard lesson I learned, where I had to surrender into it. I'm like, okay, he
That's
knows
what I
more what
figured
I
out.
need than I do,
That's what I figured out during the night. I went back and I was thinking about what I said that I didn't want to leave, and that's when it clicked into me. He didn't want to do it because he knows I ain't gonna want to leave.
Right. And the good news is about this, Brenda, is when we are sleeping, you guys, our spirits travel. So even though you're not having dream visits that you vividly remember, there's a part of your energy that is out there with him traveling anyway. So and that was a huge comfort for me when I wasn't getting those dream visits. And I mean, I still don't get them, but like when it was a problem for me that I wasn't getting them, it was like I took comfort in knowing that when I rest, my body is at rest and I'm asleep, that my spirit does go out there and travel anyway. So even if I'm not consciously aware of it, there's a part of me that knows that that's happening anyway, right? Just like all of our energy doesn't incarnate. So actually, guys, even as you sit here right now in the flesh, there's part of your energy that is still back home with your children. So even though you're not consciously aware of that, take that and marinate in it. And when you have that missing, remind yourself, oh yeah, there is a part of me that's still there. I'm just not consciously aware of it at this time. So I
Yeah,
think that's a great thing to have picked up on, though, because you can surrender, Brenda, into letting him kind of take the lead on that and knowing that he knows better than you what you need for your healing at this time.
well, many times that I did have readings, he's always said, it's not time, because he knew how
Yeah,
much I wanted to be with him. But this time, it was kind of like different because
good.
I understood what he said. He knows how much I want it, but I'm letting him it. And I talked to him today about it on the writing. I said, okay, I understand what you're saying, but if we can do this and talk and everything, or just sit and be with each other, that's fine. I can do
Perfect.
that.
Good. You're starting to surrender to your relationship as it is. This is huge, you guys. It's going to take you guys surrendering to the relationship as it is instead of wanting it to be more. Because since you're used to that, all of your relationships being in the physical form, there's always this wanting more because it still feels less than. Part of this journey in your healing is going to be about surrendering and realizing that just because it's not the way you wanted it to be does not mean that it's less than what you had. And it doesn't mean you need more, because it's about surrendering into what it is now. Okay. So I think that's huge, Brenda. I think that's huge. And
Uh,
I got to tell
I've
you, I'm
learned a
so
lot.
proud of you. I
I
see
learned
that
a
you're
lot.
getting ready. You're getting ready to set some big boundaries and make some big life changes. That's inspiring. And I love it. I think that that's amazing.
And
Huge
that's thanks
win,
to you
girl.
guys. That's thanks to
Well,
you guys in the group.
here's what I tell everybody. Kathy and I light the way, but you guys are the ones doing the hard work. We've done the hard work. We know it's excruciating, it's exhausting, it's like do or die sometimes. It's, all of the things, but we appreciate that and thank you for that, but don't discount the extremely hard, committed, dedicated work that you're putting into it too, because we can light the way, guys, but we can't drag you down at kicking and screaming. All we can do is take your hand and walk beside you. Okay. So you give gratitude to yourself as well, Brenda.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're
I will.
welcome. Thank you for being with us. Anybody else? Well, that makes the grief coach feel good. I'm such a smart ass. Yeah, Becky.
I'll go. um, I feel like this holiday season really snuck up and took me by surprise because the first one we made it through and I thought, okay, I can do this again. Um, so I'm so thankful that I did the class because I thought, oh, this will just be cool to get me through. And it was a lot more support and help that I needed. So I'm really happy that I took it. Um, a testament I also want to share. We've got a lot of earth drama going on with our family right now. I've been setting more boundaries though, which has been good.
Is that
Um,
is that ruffling some status quo up? Because usually when you set boundaries, you're gonna piss some people off.
yes, but more so my husband and my daughter than anything else.
Oh,
So
she's like,
he's like, well, what do they say about boundaries with husbands and daughters? I'm like, still got to say no.
you gotta set them.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
not to get into the drama because clearly that's not what's important in life. But I will say, my brother-in-law going through a nasty divorce, very beginning phases, and 3 days before Christmas, his still wife, as of this point, decided to file a false claim PFA and take the children away from him 3 days before Christmas. So clearly, Christmas Eve was a shit show,
Yeah.
with my in laws. But what was really neat is he's a very sensitive, easygoing guy, and he was just a ball of emotions. Um, But what was really neat was it was just him and I sitting talking for a long time. And even though the situations were completely different, there are a lot of things that I was still able to apply from what I've learned from the classes of getting through the holidays for him, since he was just thrown into this unexpectedly a few days
Yeah.
before. And that's been really cool. So it was really neat teaching him different methods that I've learned through the classes to help him,
Absolutely.
and just running him. It's just another day. You've got this. This is not forever. So
It's
that
gonna
was
have a
kind of neat to
beginning, a
hear
middle, and an
myself
end.
talking through it. When you start
Yeah.
talking about it yourself and you're like, oh damn, like I
I,
really
I,
like think
I actually believe
yeah.
that myself.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know where that came from. So, I mean, I do, but so that was a really cool thing. On the other side of it, though, that made it really, really difficult for my daughter for the holidays.
Mhm.
7 years old, and she got sick the next day, bloody nose. She's sick on Christmas. She's not feeling good. And she just poured all of it out. And she finally said, last year Parker disappeared, and now my cousins are disappearing, and who's going to disappear next? And it's been a week. She has definitely regressed in her grief journey this past week.
Well, she's having something else to grieve now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we've reassured her this is not the end all be all. It's a different situation, but it's been hard watching her, struggle through that. But
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure.
again neat to take what I've learned from the classes and teach her little mini versions of that for her too. So that's been really great.
Well, and this is a good thing because guys, listen to me so very carefully. And I have this conversation all the time. I had it earlier today with a former client. All of the things that you're learning for your grief, the ego recognition and taming, the grounding, the staying present, the surrender, the surrounding, protecting, the cutting cords, all of the divine timing, all of these like profound, deeper truths, these universal truths, you take those things and you apply it to the rest of life as well, and it still fits. It fits in every context, right? You're still going to have to tame ego. You're still going to have to stay present. So this is a prime example of that, Becky, how these things that Parker has gifted you this knowledge, right? We all say, well, there's no roadmap to life. But there is. And grief is the best damn teacher for it. It actually will give you the tools to move through the other things in the context of your daily life and daily living, and the drama and the trauma and the all of the things, right? So that's a prime example of that, Becky. What a great Christmas gift for, you know what I mean? Not
I know
the
you're saying, yes.
situation, obviously, but to be able to have outside of yourself, to be able to really see in black and white, like, oh, like these things fit here too, because they are, guys, they're going to fit here and there. And as you move through your journeys, that you'll hear me say, back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. Kate got the back to the basics lecture yesterday. Kathy has gotten it within the last few months. I have to give it to everything. Rest assured, guys, everything that I preach at you up on my soapbox, trust me when I say I have to tell my damn self the same thing sometimes. I am walking the talk, and it is not easy, but sometimes I have to be like, oh, Nikki, you're all wrapped up in that. Get your ass back to the basics. Like, what are the basics? Oh, yeah, I got to figure out where my ego's at. I got to. So I love that you were able to see. I hate the situation, but
Right.
I also know that the situation comes for all of your growth, and for your daughter's growth. I feel so. Think of how, like, at all of our ages, right? This awakening, like how rough and tumble it's been, and then to have kids that have to go through it. But the better thing for the kids is they don't have, for me, like almost 46 years of social programming, right? So they have that one up, but it's very hard to but it's also because they're the next wave of light workers, and so they need this information at a younger age so that they can go out and teach it, and then they can teach their kids it, and the vibration of the planet gets lighter and lighter and lighter. That's how we create heaven on earth. So, yeah, just know, as hard and heartbreaking as it is, you have to also stay strong in your truth, because it's hard not to get lost in your kids' pain. Is that, this is happening with purpose. It is happening for a reason, and instill in her what the lessons are. Even at 7, I mean, you're going to have to say it in 7-year-old terms, obviously,
Yeah,
but
she doesn't understand the whole picture, but
well,
she
yeah,
understands
yeah,
enough to be upset, clearly. So,
yeah,
and we make it
yeah,
fun because she gets on us about our curse words. So now we kept telling her, if you want to talk to your ego in your head, you're allowed to curse at them and say, shut up,
nice,
ego. And she is all for that. So we have our little, our
good.
little parent lies that have been working. So
Good. Well, I hope that this, I mean, I know it was rough with you because it kind of wham bammed you, but I hope that you felt like the group and the people in the group and just having the space, it was Cooper, and just having this space made it a little bit lighter for you. I hope that you found that. So
it did. It did. Thank
good.
you.
Good. I'm glad that you joined us. I'm glad that everybody joined us. I think we've had an awesome group of women this go around. I mean, those of you that are returning, I love you. But I mean, we have a lot of new people this year, and it's cool to get kind of the mix. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anybody else? We all done? Wrapping it up? I just laugh at my own jokes because I'm ridiculous, really. Okay, go ahead, Christine.
So I really didn't know what to expect for this holiday. This is our first major holiday since
Mhm.
Alex left body. And I was okay. I really feel like if it wasn't for this group, I probably would have gone into a really deep hole of grief. I think that, as Becky said, the first year, I think I would agree. Like Christmas Day, I actually kind of felt numb.
Yeah.
But I was able from this group to step away and do some grounding work, to really acknowledge Christine, you're dissociating here. And I
Yeah.
think I've dissociated actually before, throughout my life, but didn't realize what I was doing.
Me too. I tend to hover right about here.
Yes, yes. So I'm able to acknowledge that now and say I need to step away. I did some tapping, I did some grounding exercises. I'm aware, I need to go back into my body. It's okay. The 2 days after Christmas were actually I crashed. I had 2 days of
Okay.
grief. But I was able to even so kind of walk myself through it.
Perfect.
In the sense of, okay, it's time to shift. Okay, this is my ego self. What's my spiritual self gonna say here? So
That's
this,
perfect.
yeah. So, and the other day, a couple days after the holiday, I was getting ready to go to work. And I started to kind of for whatever reason, go into almost that, my mind, almost replaying the morning that we found Alex.
Mhm.
And it could have been a spiral for my day, but I was able to say, whoa, wait a second here. What would your spiritual self say here? What's Alex saying to you? And I was able to
Perfect.
kind of move through it. So,
That is a prime
um,
example, Christine. Sorry to interrupt you. That is a
that's
prime
okay.
example, you guys, for those of you that have flashbacks, even imagined flashbacks, because I didn't find Leaf. I wasn't there, but even not being there and being part of
Yeah.
it, my brain did a number on me with even that, right? So this is a prime example of what Christine's talking about, having the awareness of her literal thoughts and stopping that thought and saying, that is unproductive, that is painful to
Yep.
me. I know better than that now, and I'm going to go this way with it. So that's how you work with flashbacks and PTSD, that on a spiritual,
Yep.
perspective, neuroplasticity level. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm still like I wasn't in our I wasn't able to listen to our Friday group. I wasn't able to be there, but I listened afterwards. And like I've learned so much from all of you in the sense of where people are in different stages, and like
Yes,
just kind of talking about like, like speaking up with family members, but actually like not allowing family members to hurt your feelings anymore. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm so not there yet. Like everybody's pissing me off still, like especially with the holiday. We've had some like family stuff go on with just like
mhm.
Alex's first holiday not being here, and just like saying hurtful things and doing hurtful things. And um so I'm like, I'm learning from you all, like, oh, I can get there where I can at some point in time not be so hurt and angry by the stupid shit
Absolutely.
that others people say that they
Yes.
just don't know.
They don't,
um
that bless their heart needs to be a
y-
mantra for all of you where you just
yes.
say, bless their heart, bless their
Yeah,
heart,
yeah,
you
and I like
know.
listen to that. I'm like, I'm so not there yet, but I see others who are, and it's like I will be there at some point in time. I will be there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I'm definitely finding my voice. I'm kind of, I have a tendency to be a little bit more quiet. I sit back and listen to things. I always worry about hurting other people's feelings, and I'm definitely starting to like speak my truth, tell my truth, and not worry so much about pissing people off in that sense.
Good.
So
Good. You're finding
it's
your authentic voice then.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So this group's been wonderful. I'm looking forward to the next group for sure.
Awesome. And something I want to point out, guys, what Christine was talking about when the grief waves came and you said you crashed. Guys, if you're still in deep grief, right? And those waves come, I don't want you just shifting immediately, going, oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to cry because I know they're not dead. No, that's called spiritual bypassing. Okay.
Mhm.
The waves come with purpose. They come with, you got to grieve that physical part. You got to move that energy out of you. I know it comes with an emotional hangover afterwards, but
Mhm.
after the emotional hangover, if you check in with your vibration, you're going to find that you actually feel lighter because you've poured the heavy ass cup out, right? You've poured some of the pain out. So, excuse me. So, every single time you feel like you need to cry, kiss, cry, cuss, kick, scream, yell, lay on the floor, roll around, snot everywhere, do it. It serves a huge
Yeah.
purpose. Do
Yeah.
not, don't tamp that down. Don't avoid it. Don't distract from it. Cry, 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 cry. I know it feels terrible, but Christine, you handled it beautifully because you let that come. And then when you got really tired of that and you
Yeah.
felt like it had worn
Yeah.
itself out and the
It was
waves started to
exhausting.
recede, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you were like, okay, it's time for me to shift.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how it's done, guys. You purge and shift and purge and shift and purge and shift. And what you're going to find is that the purging's going to become less intense. That I remember when, like, at 3 years out, I was really strong in my truth. I was dealing at that point with releasing my attachment to Leaf's physical body. And there were times I was like, damn, I wish I could have a huge grief wave and cry. Like, I can't even
Yeah.
do that now because I
Yeah.
know that he's not dead. And that's part of what made me realize, like, how emotionally and spiritually cleansing those horrendous waves that you think are going to suck you under. Know that they have a start, a middle, and an end, and it's going to come and it's going to wash over you. Surrender into it and let it do what it's come to do. Okay.
Yep.
People that want deep healing do not bypass that part. Okay. So, you guys know me well enough now. I'm a big emotional baby. If I'm pissed, I can't really contain it. If I'm sad, I can't really contain it. Like, I am just, my emotions are right here at all times. So for me, it was like I could be in the grocery store. There were times I had to be carried out of the grocery store because it was just like, and blam, I'm on the floor
Yep.
bawling now. And just get really good at, I know that people around you, maybe it's going to make them uncomfortable. It is not your job right now to make them
Mhm.
comfortable. Okay. It's
Yep.
not, you're going to teach a lot of people in your grief journey how grief should be done, in my
Mhm.
opinion. that it's okay to be open, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay that people see your tears, because it's not your job to make them comfortable, you know.
Mhm.
Also, you know, Christine, you and I talked about it in the thread, like open, honest conversations.
Yep.
You know, we have as free parents, we make a lot of assumptions sometimes about the stupid shit people say and do,
Yep.
right? And we get hurt. And we have to have open, honest conversations about, hey, like what you did hurt me more than if
Yep.
you would have handled it this way. You know, they're doing the best that they can, bless their hearts, you know, with what they know. And the bottom line is, you guys all really do become the teachers for the people around you on how to do it a different way. You know,
Yeah.
you're breaking paradigms, you're breaking
Mhm.
huge social contracts that have existed for generations,
Yep.
you know. So I think these are huge wins,
Yeah.
Christine. You
Yeah.
know, huge wins, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even just my older children, Steve and I, Steve is actually extremely spiritual. Like you wouldn't know it just meeting him. But from like day one, he was like, Alex is here, the door's opening, like, you know, just like, and it's so funny because like several months after when I said, I kind of approached Steve to say, you know, I really think that I want to talk with a medium. He was like, do what you need to do, Christine. Like Alex talks to me like all the time. And so then when I started to like hear Alex, like, and really believe it's just not me going crazy, you know, and
Right.
really start opening like and get excited about it, he was like, oh, he talks to me all the time. Like it was for him, it was like no big deal. And I was like, I'm so jealous that it's been like that for you for day one. But like even my older children, like my son, who's 25 in the beginning, was very skeptical about like us and signs and, you know, Alex is here. And now he's just like, there's been this big shift with Jacob. Like
Yeah.
he has seen signs from Alex. Like
Good.
he's talking openly. He actually said to me, like in the beginning, he was like, Mom, you're kind of crazy. And now he's saying, Mom, you're not crazy. Like
You're not crazy.
I believe it. Like even down to like this Christmas, he had to put one of his dogs down a couple months ago because she was really old and sick. And he was like talking openly about how Alex, the dog's name is Alice, our son's name is Alex, how Alice, his dog, comes in, like he
Yep.
hears her every morning, like the typical like up the stairs like he used to hear. And he was like, I know it's Alice, Mom. Like he just like this whole like shift in his whole perspective.
And what an amazing gift that
Yeah.
your healing is now giving to other people around you, because now he can move through. He's going to have a lot of perceived loss in his life, and
Yeah.
he now has the perspective to move through that differently, and that's going to change
Yeah.
his entire life.
Yes.
Like this
Yeah.
is life-changing stuff, not just for you guys, but that's why it's so important for you to eventually be able to stand in your truth and step into your truth. You know, Debbie's getting ready to go mainstream with it. She's going back to work as a therapist and going to be, you know, really shifting people's perspectives, and has the education behind it to be able to have the credentials to do it, you know. So, I mean, it's life-changing stuff, not just for you guys, but for the people that you love and the people around you and the people that you teach. You know, Abe Hicks calls it passing the baton of belief. And,
Mhm.
you know, people have been doing it for years with the religious indoctrination and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat and magical and beautiful to know that us and our kids are on the front lines of doing it in this way with grief.
Mhm.
You know, like just think about the amount of lesson trauma that can come to this
Yeah.
with the people that you love now as other people leave, you know, leave their body. Kathy is a testament to that. Kate is a testament to that. When, you know, their second people left body, they were equipped. I mean, they still grieve the physical, of course, but they're equipped with this knowledge that their first people gave them. So it was
Yeah.
less traumatizing, you
Yeah.
know. So
And
I think that's
being
fabulous.
able to give that gift to other people in our
Yeah.
lives is so profound, because we're preparing them for when we leave, when they leave, when someone they love more than us leaves. It's these ripples that we keep making in the
Yeah.
pond, and it's a very important part of our journey.
Yes. Speaking your truth and standing tall in it. You know, every other, and this is, it got for me like, you know, there were family members when I was like, I don't know if you need to be like speaking that so loud.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know, Catholics speak their beliefs that loud.
Yep.
Christians speak their beliefs that loud. You know, Muslims speak their beliefs that loud. Why should my beliefs not be
Yep.
spoken loud? You know, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just simply stating what my belief is, what brings me peace, and what my truth is. And we all have, you know, the sovereign right to do that. So I think that's a huge win, Christine. And,
Yeah.
you know, don't let anybody tell you that the seconds are going to, like, year 2 is going to be worse. It's going to be
Yep.
different. It's going to
Yep.
be different, but it's always, always, always each year, each holiday, each milestone, all of this is always going to be what you make it with
Yeah.
the knowledge and information that you have to utilize, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just glad it's over.
And
But,
that's
yeah,
okay too.
like,
You know,
whew.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
you were a long distance. You were a long distance runner, which I do not understand runners, but you know, I'm sure after you ran a long distance race, even if you trained for it, like you're glad when that shit's done,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Of course. Of
okay, it's
course.
done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I think you know, for year 1, I call this a huge win for you, for your family. I think it's phenomenal. So thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing and for being willing to utilize the tools and for engaging. Because I knew when we first came on, you kind of step back and you're kind of just soaking it
Yeah.
in.
Just
And
what? Yep. Yep.
yeah, but you have found your voice, and I think
Yep.
that's huge. You are finding it. So
Yeah.
I love, this is the part that Kathy and I love, is getting to watch your guys' transformations too. That's extremely not expiring, inspiring, and that's why we do what we do. You know, people say, I just don't know how you guys do that. That's such a heavy space to have to work in. And I'm like, you know, in our classes, it's not as heavy as it could be, and there's a lot of light that comes through, you know.
Yep.
So I love that you can see that light, and you know, guys, once there's a little bit of light in the dark ass cave, it doesn't ever get that dark again. That's what you remember when the grief waves come, is like,
Yeah.
you know, you're surfing the wave on your board and you've got your torch, it's still lit, it's not going out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Mm.
I'm going to share real quick from Rebecca, because she messaged me just now. She had to leave because her dogs got out.
Oh no.
She said, this is my 3rd group. I've learned so much every time. This year really helped me with focusing on Joseph in spirit, as I was having a hard time letting go of his physical body. The words, he is not dead, he is different with superpowers, has been so healing. Love you all.
Good. And guys, those short, quick mantras, they can do a lot when you're down in it, you know, just enough to say that. It's, and I don't expect anybody to say it and immediately believe it. Unfortunately, that's not how the human brain works. That's not how we're built. We have to, you know, the only way out is through. But having those quips and those quick truths that you can shift into when you are ready to shift, and like, okay, I'm just going to keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it, that's what helps train your brain to it, right? That's what one of the things that you'll hear me say in other classes is you go from hope to belief to knowing. Hope to belief to knowing, right? You may not even be at hope when you come into a class at first, right, Debbie Johnson? You may just be like, what the hell? I'm just going to try it because I don't even know what else to do. So you may even not be to the hope stage, but So look at that where you're at. It's okay if you're still just in the hope stage, because you're slowly moving into the belief stage. And as you keep working, seeking, working on it, working with somatic healing, working with mind, body, spirit, integrating all of it, you're going to move from belief into knowing. You're going to, it's going to happen. That's just how it works. So yeah.
I can go next. So unfortunately, I didn't get to come to as many groups as I was hoping, but that's just life. But also, I think that helped me because it was like just knowing that, okay, the group was here, even though like I had to work and things like that. But it was almost like Isaac would like, mom, you got to go, the group. So then I'd be like, shit, I got the group, and I'd kind of quickly jump on. So that was kind of helpful. And, you were just talking about how, these teachings, how your teachings has helped with all the different losses. And I think there is so much truth to that, because what I learned from Isaac, that base that you gave me, my mom died 9 months later, unexpectedly, so I wasn't.
It was during a class when she passed, I think, wasn't
Could
it?
have,
You
yeah, it
were
was
in a
March of
class.
21. I never thought I would have been able to cope with my mom, but had going through Isaac, that definitely gave me a foundation. And the things that I was teaching my family, like bringing Isaac into our holidays and bringing him, talking about him constantly, made it easier for my brothers to talk about it, and
Good.
move into it. And then right before Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. We've talked about this. So I had to, even though I haven't seen him in 6 years, I had to go out and take care of matters and put him in a home. And there's a whole thing of that. But that's a whole nother loss, and allowing myself to ride that grief, but not stay there. And, learning how, this is her journey, not my journey. And learning, and that really helped to kind of that reminder of, this is his journey. It's not my job to fix his journey.
Right.
That was huge. So all these things, all the holiday programs, this is my third holiday, has kind of built upon each other. Each holiday group I've done has built upon the next one to make me stronger. And sometimes I don't realize it till I come back into the group and I'm like, shit, I have grown, because I went to Christmas and I totally forgot, because usually I have the whole ritual, Isaac sent a big picture, I got candles, I got a plate.
Yeah.
This year, both Thanksgiving and Christmas, I totally forgot a picture. I didn't even set a plate. I totally forgot the picture. I got to the end of the day and going, well, shit, I didn't even bring them in. Holy crap.
But you did.
I,
And it's great because at some point you don't need those physical representations anymore, because you're living in the knowing that, like,
know.
oh yeah, he is here. I don't even have to bring him in.
I know. And then I hear Isaac in my mind laughing, going, no, Mom, I'm there. You don't need the picture. And I'm like, okay, I got this, so
Yeah.
it's those little reminders like, okay, I have grown, and so yeah, hopefully everything I've learned here, and it had helped, talking about going back to work with you, because I'm thinking, oh my God, can I do this? But I think the biggest
Absolutely.
thing is that surrendering piece, is, surrendering into, this is what it is, trusting, because I was like, all right, Isaac, God, you tell me where to go. And they put the position there. I didn't even look
Yeah.
for it. It came
You
to
don't
me.
even get a choice. Yeah. You ask and you shall receive, and they're just going to guide you through it. You have the best education there is for it. You walk through
Yeah.
the fires of hell. That's more than
exactly
anything
it.
you can ever learn in a textbook. You know what I
No.
mean?
There's when Isaac left body, I was pissed off. I was like, none of this shit helped. None of the shit that I learned in school helped. None of this was going to help me. There's nothing that prepared me for this. So
Yeah.
so the fact of what I've learned from you in this class, that's what I plan to bring in, because there's so much more than a textbook can offer.
And you have come so far, Debbie, because man, 3 years ago, you sat in here and you were like, I'm not.
Oh, I was angry. I
She
was
was
an
either
angry kid.
cussing us
Not
or
that it wasn't
crying,
work.
nothing in between.
Yeah, I was angry. I was
It's
pissed off.
amazing. It's amazing how far you've come in 3 years.
Yeah, I was ready to beat everybody. That Italian to me was like, but and it's nice too, because I can see see it in my boys, I can see the change in
Yeah.
them. Like last night, my oldest son, Tyler, comes out and he's like, Mom, get your pendulum out. And I'm like, why am I get my pendulum out? He's like, because I got mine out and I was talking to Isaac and I want to make sure the things I said, he was telling me was correct. I want to see if you got the same answers as me,
That's
So,
awesome. Passing the baton of belief,
yeah.
man.
So, because I
Yeah.
have a little thing he says and he knows what to say before to surround and protect. And so yeah, he knows that when he has days where he can't sleep or he wants to have communication, he grabs his pendulum and he talks to Isaac and they have a conversation and he has that connection with him.
That's
So
perfect.
I
That's
love that.
perfect.
So
I love it. And I love that this was year 3 for you. And like, it's visible on your face too. Your demeanor is different. Your energy is different. You smile more. You're willing
Yeah.
to joke now. I mean, when we tell you this one was pissed, that is not like that.
I-
She was not a happy camper, and she
No.
really wasn't even happy with what she was hearing out of our mouth.
Yeah. When you were like, you're not that powerful. I'm like, bullshit, I'm that powerful.
Yeah, she's like,
I want him to
yeah,
stay.
Nikki.
So
So
yeah.
take that as a testament to those of you that are newer on your journey. This is transformative stuff.
Yeah.
It is. So
So
just work. If you work it, it's going to change. I mean, it's big commitment. It's big dedication. It is lots of self-care because you're going to get tired. It's
Yeah.
going to be exhausting.
Yeah, and Kelly White made a comment. She was actually on my vision board. Like, I wanted a reading with her for like 4, since I've started your group, and I have never got it. So she actually talked a little bit, and she said that I was a 10 of hearts, and that was like coming in to learn about yourself, which was true. So that vision board, it's interesting because you've always had us do it. So every time something happens, I cut it out and I put it around the vision board. So this will be my 3rd one. So every time I do it, it's like more and more happen.
Yeah.
And I thought it was bullshit when I started it. So, but every time something happens, I'm like, oh, cut this out and put it on, around my vision board to remind me all the things that have happened. So now I'm like, I really want to spend time, really thinking about what it is that's going to make my soul happy. Put it on the vision board.
That's awesome. Huge win. It's so awesome to see you happy and thriving and back to work, because I know for 2 years it was like, there's no way I'm going back to work. I'm never ever going back to work. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see about that. But whatever you say right now, So I mean, it is an honor to have watched this, Debbie. I will tell you.
Because of you. So take the teaching serious, because you can really grow. And I didn't think so. And it's everywhere. That teaching, as I've called Nikki on other areas of my life, not just grief. And you apply everything to every part of your life, all this grief teaching, whether you like it or not.
And that doesn't mean you're not going to want to punch me in my face sometimes.
Right. There's a few times
that's okay.
Yeah.
Or Kathy, punch us both in the face. That's all right. We can handle it. So
hell, I still want to punch you in the face sometimes, like 5 minutes before class tonight, but it's okay.
Kathy will say, I'm not talking about this with you right now. I'm like, all right, we'll revisit it in a few days.
Yeah. I think the biggest teaching is that surrendering. I think that's been the biggest.
A huge one. It's a huge one. And it's, guys, let the grief teach it to you, because once you learn it and you can do it in every single context of your life, usually it's not a quick, even for me, it's like, I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. I do ego purges and vents. I usually do them to Kathy and to Kate. And I'm like, I'm going to be a petty ass ego person right now. And then I'm like, and now I can surrender. So it doesn't always happen quickly. You may have to move through a process, but at the end of the day, whatever is going on, if you can eventually step into surrender, Kathy's looking at me like, shut up, Nikki. If you can eventually step into surrender, that's where you get into flow. It's not just for healing, it's for alignment, it's for thriving, it's for living your best life. And it's one of the hardest things that you can learn to do. But once you learn to do it, how much more freedom do you have, Debbie? Guess what? You don't have to make a lot of the choices anymore, because you surrender and you're like, take me where I'm supposed to go, and it'll start doing it. But the first time you do it, when
Oh, I was
you're,
angry about that. I didn't
well,
want to
yeah,
surrender.
well,
But
no, because your ego wants to be in control.
yeah,
It wants to be in control of the when, the how, the where, the why, all the things, right? So
and
when,
the more I surrender, the more I let go, the more I hear Isaac, the more I feel him, the more I can smell him. You know, it's like the more I
yeah,
just let go and let be, you know, as much as I don't want to, the more I can feel him lead me. So,
yeah.
um,
And I dare say the way you talk now, I feel like you're moving closer to where you're releasing his physical too, because you're coming to know him so much more intimately in spirit.
I do.
So I think that's beautiful too. And that's something that I know when we were teaching that, you were like, she is full of shit. So, you know, it's neat to be able to watch that with you too, to watch your relationship expand. And this is the most unconditional relationship, you guys, because like it or not, when we're in the flesh, a body is a condition. A body is a condition. So when we learn to release that, you actually learn true unconditional love that makes a relationship. And it's you know, transcendent. It's amazing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, just surrender and, you know, let whatever comes come and just step into it, whether,
do it over and over and over and over. And you can even get pissed that you have to do it. You can get pissed and have a tantrum. And then if that's what allows you to eventually step into it, then it will. And it's not like, oh, I think I'll surrender now. There are a
no,
lot of steps that have to be done before that, and a lot of ego taming and a lot of uh tug of war between ego and spirit. But
yeah.
it's good once you finally learn to do it.
Yeah, the biggest thing too, you also taught is like, you know, what is this, when something comes up, it's always, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to teach me? And that's how I learned to surrender, is look for what it's trying to teach me instead of like
Yeah.
getting mad or fighting it. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good stuff, Debbie. Thank you for
thank
sharing.
you.
I'm so glad you joined us again.
Thanks.
I have a question that kind of goes into what Debbie just said, or what you
Mhm.
said too, Nikki, about when you get to the point where you can feel your child more than like imagine them or see them. I keep going back to almost every meditation, guided meditation talks about like picture your child. So why don't they start to say like feel your child?
Because it's generally easier for you. So you just use the word imagination. The word imagination is a catch-22 word, because it's not actually imagination. It's actually you using your third eye and your sixth senses. Humans have then put this word imagination on it. That's not what it is. So because you're using your sixth senses, it's going to be easier for you incarnate in the flesh to use visualization to picture your child, because you have to start feeling in and learning somewhere. Most humans are not consciously aware of energy. Like Sharon, I have no doubt your daughter's probably been touching you for 7 years. You're not, but you will brush it off as, oh, my hair's flying around, it tickles. Oh, I have an itch here. So because you're human and you're just brushing those things off, you're logically explaining them away. You're not aware enough that it's actually her, right? So I don't know how many of you have felt like you've had bugs crawling through your hair sometimes. Ask your kid to touch your hair. Guess who that is? It is your child playing with your hair. That's one of the first tells that they will do, so that you can recognize their physical energy. It, as a human, because your spirit incarnated into the flesh, it's going to be easier for you to learn to lean into their energy by visualization first, and then you get familiar with it, and then you progress from there. Now, there are very natural people that have their clairs open, that can feel energy that way. They can feel when spirit walks by them or brushes up against them, but they usually already have a spiritual base where they don't just poo-poo that off. They're not like, oh, there's a draft coming through. Like, they'll be like, oh, spirit's here. So you have to have the spiritual base and the information, the knowledge integrated. Like, guys, I cannot drive this home enough. you can seek and you can seek and you can seek and you can bring in all this information. If you're not applying it and integrating it, it just stays information and knowledge. It doesn't become knowing, it doesn't become belief. Like, you have to open yourself up to that, and you have to lean into the awareness of it. So guided meditations are a great way to start out for beginners, so that they can learn to feel in. Like, first you're going to visualize. What happens is that visualization where you've set the rendezvous place and what they look like, that's going to change and morph as you get better at leaning into spirit, right? So it's a good beginner step, and that's why they do that, because a lot of people that are starting out with guided meditations have no spiritual base, they have no integrated base, and so they have to start with the tools that they have. And that is, so you've got clairs, right? You've got claircognizance, you've got clairsentience, you've got clairvoyance. Clairvoyance, because we have visualization through our third eye with our imagination, is often a good starting point for that. And then you can get, open up your clairsentience, where you can start feeling the energies. I'll tell you, like, I don't often feel Leaf's presence anymore. There was a time when I was learning and seeking and learning to connect that I could feel his energy very strongly sometimes. I very rarely feel his energy anymore. I very rarely feel his physical touch anymore, unless I'm openly aware of it and I sit down and I say, okay, Leaf, touch my right hand. And then I can feel him touch my right hand. But just in my day-to-day, I don't even hardly, pick up on other humans' energies most of the time, quite honestly. It's just not something that's in my natural wheelhouse. I'm really bad with human discernment sometimes, is one of my biggest lessons. But so that's not a natural thing for me. And I've learned, like, just because I don't feel his energetic presence doesn't mean it's not there. It's just something I'm not attuned to very naturally. It's something that I learned to be attuned to, but because I have to put a lot of effort into that attunement, I don't sit in that space any longer. I'm just like, well, if I need that, I'll sit down and I'll tap into it, but it's not something that I need all the time. But I also live in my knowing now. So I don't need to feel it anymore, because I know that it's there whether I feel it or not. But they'll start with that, Sharon, because it's a good way. When you're opening awareness, we're like newborns and toddlers. We have to learn to lean into that, and not to logically write it off, not to poo-poo it away, not to explain it away. It's part of how your awareness opens up, and it's a part of how kind of your third eye flourishes. Does that make sense? Does that
Yeah,
answer your question?
It does. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
And the thing about guided meditation is, like, you'll set the scene, right? And you'll set the scene and everything, but if you'll watch and if you keep doing it, and you can practice the guided meditations that Kat did through the Zooms, or you can go on YouTube and literally type in guided meditation to meet your deceased loved one, like, write that in, like, several will come up. Ask your kid to guide you to the one they want you to work with, and then practice it. Because anything with your clairs, with your sixth senses, guys, when we're incarnated, we have to relearn how to tap into that, because we are socially programmed, because we have an ego self that wants to explain things away. I've worked with people who have done guided meditation. They're like, well, that's all just my imagination. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're socially programmed to believe it's your imagination. And so you think you're making it up. But if you come into knowing spirit and trusting and surrendering that this is beyond an explanation, like, you can put an explanation to it, but that's where the trust and the faith and the surrender comes in. The more you do that, the more you're going to step into knowing, the more you're going to hone those clairs again, open up your awareness, and then other things can start happening. You may end up really feeling presence a lot. I don't feel that. And it's probably because I still every day work to stay in my body, because, like Christine, I'm a natural disassociator. I just do it very naturally. I have my whole life, never even recognized it until Leaf passed. And then I was like, oh, I've never really lived in my body, so it's something that even with what I do in my spiritual journey, like in my daily life journey, I have to be like, oh shit, I need to get back in my body, So it's these things take practice. They take, it's just like, you got to think of it as you're a newborn, then you become a toddler. And if you don't keep practicing, it's just like any other skill, it will close back off and you will have to reopen it. Like when I stop visualizing, like I'll go through phases where I'm like, I don't need to visualize my tree grounding. Like I'm fine. I'll just 5 senses ground. And then shit starts going around. I'm like, oh shit, I got to get back to my basics, right? So when I start doing my visualization again, I have to practice again because it's not something that comes very natural to me anymore. So I have to like, it comes back quicker now, but I have to go back and retrain my third eye to open, my ego to tame, and to open my spirit again. So yeah, that's
Makes
a great
sense.
question.
I
Great
remember,
question.
can I say something?
Yeah.
I remember asking or what Sharon was saying. So I remember when you were first teaching us that, like the visualization and meeting your child, and you were saying you'll sit and ask your child to touch you. That freaked me out. That freaked me out of having like thinking about like your child and spirit touching you. So I think you're right. Like, you know, I kept having to practice seeing him, feeling him, smelling him.
Yeah.
It's like he had to go through certain levels for me to feel okay and comfortable for him. So for me to feel him like in my hair,
Right.
or I feel him touching me. Now I'm okay with that. But at first, when you were first teaching us, that scared the heck out of me. I'm like,
Well,
oh,
yeah,
that's
because
creepy.
there's ego programming. I mean, I
Yeah.
still not with that, but like couple months ago, I asked Leif, I'm like, oh, I haven't paid a lot of attention to you, you know, lately I've been busy or whatever. So it'd be great if you do something in the house, you know. Well, the kid wakes me up at 3:30 in the morning with the RoboVac, like, blah, 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 and I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm glad you're here. That's freaking me out. I'm going back to sleep now. You know, because I'm like, now I feel like I'm being haunted, you know, and like Leif knows, I'm like, don't ever show up. I don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. and you're sitting on the end of my damn bed. I love you, but like, I don't want to see that shit. That will freak me out. It will scare me. I don't like that. I don't want it that way. So you just reckon, and I'm like, I know it's totally ego and social programming, but like that creeps me out and it feels scary. I don't care who you are. You know, so you have to get past those things too, or set, I mean, you can set boundaries with your kids, and you have to remember, like, if you're sitting down to practice with her how to touch you and how for you to feel it, some of it may be that, like the dream visits, you have to realize it may not happen on demand for you. I've had people, Kathy and I've taught them divination tools, like Kathy can testify to it with the dowsing rods. Sophie wanted nothing to do with the dowsing rods. Kathy sent the dowsing rods to me. I was like, oh, I'll try them with Leaf. Leaf was like, nope, I don't want them either. And so we ended up giving them away as a gift in a class because like neither of our kids wanted to use them. But the ego self is going to want to initially say, oh my God, Leaf and Sophie didn't want to use the dowsing rods. They're not going to say it didn't want to use it. They're going to say, oh my God, they didn't come through with the dowsing rods, so they're dead and gone again. That's not it. There is a learning curve on that side too, where like if your kid is you know, maybe they're learning to play and manipulate electricity here, so you start having electrical stuff doing in your house, you have two choices at that point. You're, oh, you know, I must have a short somewhere because this is happening in my house. Or it's like, hey, Leaf, like if that's you, knock that shit off. Like, I'm glad you learned how to do that, but come on now. I changed the light bulb 4 times. It's a pain in my butt. Like, stop messing with the damn light bulb. So they're going to be learning how to also communicate with you, because there's a spiritual remembering that they have to go through on that side as well. So don't get discouraged if you're like, oh, I want you to come down and touch my hair, and they don't do it. There could be a number of reasons that's not happening yet. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you're not open to it. Maybe you're still going to explain it away. Maybe you're going to call it imagination. So there are going to be lots of things that come into play when you're talking about connecting with spirit or with your kids. Even with automatic writing, when you first learn to sit down to automatic write, your ego self is going to tell you you're the one doing it, period. And then you keep doing it, you keep practicing, you're going to be getting these really divine downloads like Debbie does, like Brenda does. And at some point you surrender because you're like, if that's me, I didn't know I knew that, you know? So there's a learning curve to it. Most definitely there is. Yeah. And it's okay that there is. There's supposed to be. You know, if we all woke up and remembered what we knew before we came, then why the hell are we here anyway? So yeah, great questions. Who else?
I'll go. I'll
Go
go.
for it. Go for it, Miss Lynn.
So I thought what Debbie said was kind of interesting because I sort of felt the same way this Christmas. I normally would set a plate for Kevin and we would remember him at the dinner table and all the rest of it. But I just didn't feel like I needed to do it this year. I mean, he's always
That's
with me.
huge.
And I
Yeah.
thought, no, I don't need to do it. And it wasn't sad. It wasn't like I was thinking, oh, we're forgetting him, or I didn't feel, regretful about that. And
Perfect.
so that was nice. That was actually quite nice.
And isn't it great that now your ego's tamed in that area and you're like, oh, I don't even have to do that.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I love that.
New Year's Eve was nice. And normally I felt a little bit sort of down yesterday in the evening, but New Year's Eve was fine. It was like he's going to come with me into 2023.
Absolutely.
And,
Now we're just going to keep forging on together, just like if he was in body.
yeah, and I was like Debbie too, in the sense that I didn't make a lot of the meetings, but in the sessions, but just knowing they were there is really, really comforting too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And knowing
You
that
know?
you can go back to them. And you
Yeah.
guys, it's a testament to your healing because, like, think about it. You guys have both been in the program before. Think about the first year you were in the program when you were like scheduling every single thing. And some of y'all know this. And I love that you guys are scheduling everything around it. That's great if that's where you are. But it's a testament to your healing that you're like, I can skip this one tonight. You
Mhm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's actually a good measured progress. It's a good measured progress. And I love it that you're both like, but I knew if I did need it, it was right there.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's awesome. Huge, huge.
So that's all I have to say.
Well, I take that as a win.
Yeah.
Lynn.
I'll probably be back next year, but that's okay too.
You are welcome every year for however long we do it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I love your face. I wish you'd make the trip from Canada to come to Warrior.
Oh, I know. I'll work on it. I'll work on it.
Work on it.
Yeah.
You got down here for a cruise. You can get down
I
here
know,
for a
exactly.
on
That's
land.
right. That's right. Can't use COVID as an excuse anymore.
You can't use the COVID. Besides, if we ever get Lee over here, then all you Canadians have zero excuse.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
I did a check actually, and how I thought I could go maybe, but it was like $8,000
Are you
Australian.
kidding me? Oh
with the
my
exchange rate
gosh.
and
Good
flights,
Lord.
and you can't fly to Florida. I did it. I did a flight plan. I'm like, I'm going. I'm doing this. But yeah, when I added it all up, it was insane with our dollar.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it
We'll
is.
figure it out one of these days, girl. We'll figure it
You
out
never
one
know.
of these days.
I'll go while I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I've been getting up and down. Every time I've had a Zoom, my animals play up. So they just knocked the Christmas tree down before. So I've
I
been
think
listening
all
to
of
you
our
guys.
animals are going insane every Zoom we have this time, apparently.
The whole tree just fell. I'm like, you're kidding me now? So anyway, I've separated them into rooms. Yeah, this is my third Christmas. And I joined, I think I mentioned it in the group earlier. I had my moment in October where I went offline for a month because I thought, I've got this, I'm fine. As you said, Nikki, it's re-entry. Thought,
Mhm.
the world's opened up, started going out. And I crashed a little just with, I don't know, purely, I think, because I let my self-care went downhill big time.
You kind of get sucked into the earth ego, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of get sucked back, and Lynn's like, yes, ma'am. You get sucked back into the earth paradigm and you stop using, I do this too. Like you get sucked back into the earth paradigm, you stop using your tools. You're like, I don't need my daily ritual anymore. Well, your daily ritual isn't just for grief, right? It's for like actual earth life.
Yes.
So
yeah. And then, and I stopped doing those things, but I think joining the program again, it was just reminders and setting boundaries. That was my big takeout, which I mentioned earlier. I did successfully because we had the first 2 Christmases, we had crazy strict lockdown over here. You couldn't go more than, in zones. You couldn't leave zones. So I couldn't travel more than say 10 minutes this way or that way because of where our house was. So we could avoid Christmas. We didn't have to go anywhere. And then Skylar's anniversary date was Boxing Day. So I kind of feel like we're, you know, protected from that. And then this year, so starting back going out and, you know, catching up with friends, going to concerts. And I didn't know how to describe it, but it's like, I know my truth. I'm fine with that. But then everyone started treating me normally again. And this part of me, my ego obviously was like, but hey, this still happened to me, even though I'm fine with it. That's been my biggest shock the past 3 or 4 months. It's like I want people to still acknowledge it, but I don't really need them to.
You know, and that's like an ego brain.
Massive.
Yes. So because that's where, and you guys have to be careful, because you will hear me talk about grief entitlement and you're like, oh, I don't have, like, it's normal to have grief entitlement at first, but like when you get into your truth, and I struggled with it at one point, but it's like, it's still in there, right? So you have to really look at it and be like, oh shit, I still have some grief entitlement, because it's that cloak, it's wearing the coat, right? Oh, well, you know, and it's a double-edged sword, because like you don't want to be treated different, and then they stop treating you different, and you're like, oh, my kid still died. So it's a big ego thing, and you really have to dive into it and be like, you know, what do you like? Okay, what do I want? You know, well, and so there comes a time, and this is what you're going to find, Lee, with re-entry, especially since you're just now opening up and being able to go out and do things, that you'll have to reacclimate to the fact that the whole world doesn't need to know, right? I remember when the first 2 years leave passed, I didn't care who the hell I was having a conversation with. I don't care if it was the grocery store clerk or the librarian, whoever it was, they were going to know in some way, shape, or form that I had a dead kid, right? Now I meet people and it's like, I don't care if they know or not, like, because he's not dead. So I don't need the whole world to know anymore. I don't have to be treated special or different anymore. But it's a level of ego taming that it can be a doozy. Can be a doozy for sure, you know. So
it's interesting though to observe it though. That's what I've been doing. I stand back and just observe everything, or not everything, but a lot of stuff now, which I've learned from classes as well. But yeah.
So what are you doing with that?
What am I doing with that? As far, well, I don't know. I've done a lot of self-work, but I was doing that before this happened. But now it is learning grace. It's, you know, it's knowing that I can go out and have fun. I really don't need anyone to acknowledge that and at all. It was almost like this other side of me, my ego self, obviously, was like, hey, but they should. They, you know, you've had the best day, you've had fun. Didn't even think of Scarlett. Sorry, Scarlett. But you know,
that's the point you want to get to, though, is like, sorry, you didn't even cross my mind today. And she's an adult child too, right? So it's like, sorry, not sorry, you know.
But having said that, a lot of my close girlfriends, like one's does past life regression, and you know, they're, as Rob says, your woo-woo friends, but they, you know, they'll acknowledge Skylar as well. So it's not like she's forgotten when we're out and having fun, but I don't know, it's just some weird thing where I guess I'm doing fine, but then a little part of me is like, well, people should still acknowledge that, you know, this has happened. Well, it's Christmas.
And it's going to be harder too, because especially around holidays, you've had to set boundaries because you're not in a place where you wanted to go out and do these things with your family. So when you're in that position where you're like, oh, I can go out, and I have days where it's not even brought up. And then on the flip side of that, you're like, oh, but Christmas is here and I am not ready to do that. So that can be where some of it's coming in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like, it's okay, you guys, like, it's okay if you're 10 years out. And, you know, for me now, it's like, I'm never going back to my hometown and having a full family Christmas like we had my whole life, my kids' whole life, my mother's whole life. Like, that's never going to happen. It's not going to happen because it's too painful for me. It's because now I can step back and say, like, there were some toxic things that were going on there, and I just am not going to do that anymore. So that is a gift of the fact that Leaf left his body, right? But if I had let my ego take control of that, it would be like, oh, I'm not ready for that, because it has nothing to do with me not being ready for it. It has to do with the fact that I don't ever want to do it again for different reasons. So you have to really get into that stew and figure out, like, did you not want to go with aunties and mom because it's really something you've never enjoyed, you know? Or is it
Mhm.
because you're grieving? Like, grief will always be the default. So you have to get in there and say, is it because I'm grieving, or is it because really I always just did it because they wanted to do it? You know? So dig into some of that. And as you re-enter more and more, Lee, it's going to come up more and more, and you just have to be like, ego, shut up. Like, this is actually what we wanted. We wanted to get back to the new normal. We don't want to be the bereaved parent in the ugly shoes club and recognized for that. That's not an accolade. And there's a part of the ego, guys, and you see it in the grief community all the time. If you're in other grief groups, if you follow grief pages all the time, it's like a medal. Some people wear it as a medal. Like, well, I'm a bereaved parent. You know, you have to really dig into that and see what it looks like, and realize when your ego's doing that. Because what it is you want people to acknowledge you've been through this and to be proud of you for the all exhausting hell that you walked through and survived and are not now thriving. At the end of the day, you're the only one that can do that for yourself, because nobody knows what your experience has been. Right? So it's a matter of taming that ego, you really diving in and giving yourself the kudos, so that your ego's not looking for it through pity or however the ego wants it on any given damn day, you know. So really jump into that and see what it looks like. And I know you will, because you introspect and you take apart the stew and you deal with each piece.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it's funny because it's just another, you know, when these things come up, guys, especially when you're in a pretty good place, don't look at it as a setback. It's literally just another piece that's coming up that needs healed so that you can level up. That's all that it is, you know. And it takes really looking at the nuances that come up just like that, right, Lee? These little nuanced things that come up for you to be able to move through each layer and each level. Nooks, crannies, cracks, crevices, there's all kinds of stuff waiting to come out of those places, right? So I think it's awesome that you're aware of it and that you're willing to dive in and deconstruct it and reshift it and see where it goes.
Yeah, thanks. And I think also too, my only other thing, and the class helped that we've already shared, is, I don't know if he's awake, but my son, like, he's 18, and you know, he hears some of the conversations I have with my girlfriends here, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, Mum, you shouldn't let people hear you talk like that. So that's the part, you know, I really want him to you know, embrace that Skylar is here. I think he's got a lot of healing to do, and I can only set an example, but yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, is
well, and you can also
struggling with.
You can also, don't forget, Lee, talk to Skylar and tell Skylar to pour it on her brother. You know, tell her, bring him up to speed, and she'll do that. Sisters want to be in their brother's faces and spaces. So talk to Skylar and have her convince him, because she can convince him far faster than you can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was at the start, he was really in, you know, accepting, oh, I got a sign from Skylar, and now he's kind of just shut down. And just quickly, I had a reading with Kat Bally, a UK medium. I booked it in March, forgot about it. She cancelled it early December. We ended up doing it the other day. All Skylar talked about was her brother. You know, she knew what he was doing for New Year's.
Probably getting ready to put it on him then, would be my guess.
Yeah, and she said everything, it was New Year's Eve night, everything he was doing, what his plans were, that he was going on a trip, that she liked his new girlfriend, talked about her, validations about her. And I said, do you want to listen to it? And he went, no, just no. I'm like, okay.
That's okay. That's okay. He'll come into it in divine timing. And part of that is his age, Lee. And, you know, one of the things that, because I've had family that have said that to me too, like, you kind of sound crazy. I don't think you should be talking about that openly. And I'm like, Well, the other choices, and you know me, I'm very honest and direct in my conversations. I'm like, well, the other choice of that is for me to hide my truth and be holed up in my bedroom. So which would you rather have me do? I'm okay with looking crazy. I'm sorry if you think that reflects poorly on you, but and the other thing I always say is like, especially with my mom, I'm like, you're a devout Christian. Like, I don't tell you to pipe down about the teachings of the good book. So, don't tell me to pipe down about what my truth is. That doesn't happen often with her, but that has had to been said before. So, inevitably through that contrast of what he's feeling, you're actually teaching him how to stand tall in what his truth will become, no matter what context it is in, and see that it's okay to be authentic in that. At 18, 18 anyway, that's a really hard age for them to be authentic. They're super worried about their peers and what their peers think. But in you doing it, even if it pisses him off, you're teaching him that standing in your authenticity is a trait of strength, So God help us when we got to teach them through the contrast. Woo-wee,
It's fun.
So yeah.
Thanks.
I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Thank
been
you.
great. I love it.
I'm glad I finally figured out why Leaf was sending kangaroos too. So
Yeah,
that was an epiphany.
it's clever.
Mom,
It's clever.
I'm still kind of dense too, guys. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, whatever. So, don't feel bad if you miss messages because I do it all the time, I'm sure. So yeah. Thanks for joining us again, Lee.
Thank you. Thanks to you all. It's been awesome. I've filled my book as usual.
Yay!
Mhm.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Lee had to say. For me, like it's been a really, really busy season and I'm in a much different place. And I just decided to dig into the earth plane and dig into the holidays with my kids and just do all the things. But one of the things I did intentionally this year, like last year was my first time joining this group. I locked my door, literally locked it so nobody would barge in on me. Like for every Zoom meeting, I had to schedule, make sure I could attend, whatever. I haven't attended a lot of them because I've been busy but I intentionally just did the Zoom meeting wherever I was. So like if I was making dinner or if I was wrapping presents, if I was driving in the car with my son, picking him up from somewhere, like that's where I did it because that's where it was happening. And I wanted my son to overhear and he did. And he said that,
oh God, I hope I didn't drop the F-bomb too many times on those ones, Sarah.
I don't know. No, he heard someone say something about a drum circle and he's like, I was like, Jacob, do you think I'm crazy? He's like, no, I don't think you're crazy. I think they're crazy. And a bunch of
that's a compliment to me.
Yeah.
So,
But what was really interesting was one of the first medium sessions, I think his name was Michael. I was driving my son home from school and he was listening. He was pretending not to listen, but he was listening. And Michael did the introduction about how I think he said he had lost maybe 3 siblings and one was murdered. And my son, after that, said, that guy is fake. There is no way he can be real. How could anyone have that happen to them and be able to talk about it like that? And I thought that was really interesting, like, because my son can't talk about his sister. Like, wow. And I had an opportunity to say, people can talk about it. You can heal and get past it. And I don't think he's there yet to have that kind of a conversation with him, but just for him to hear that people can speak openly about their experiences. He's got a long way to go, but like, I thought it was just good for him to overhear.
That's a big seed to get planted for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And seeing another man say it, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's huge.
He was convinced that he was a fraud, not a real medium. And he's like, give me his name. I'm looking him up. But, so he overheard a couple medium sessions and stuff. And I wanted him because it's been a big part of healing for me. I wanted him to at least understand a little bit of what that is, So.
Yeah, good. I mean, you can't shift him, but you can plant seeds.
Sure.
And, those seeds will grow in the divine time that they're supposed to. And, you know, it may take more perceived loss for those seeds, for him to water those seeds, but the seeds are there. You know,
Yeah.
the seeds are there.
Yeah.
So I think that's divine timing for sure.
Very, very
know.
slow, but and then on the other flip side, my daughter Nora just pops right in during the Kelly White session. She just popped right on over when it was Emily's turn. Like she
Yeah.
knew Emily was coming. So
Yep.
she just popped on over. So
You're dealing with both paradigms literally living in the flesh in your house.
yes.
That's hilarious. That's
Yep.
hilarious. I'm glad that you joined us. And you know,
Yes.
like I said, I think it's a testament to your healing that you wanted to jump into the earth side of things, and catch Zooms when and if you could.
Here
Like
she
that's-
comes.
there she comes.
She comes. Yeah, that's why I have to lock. That's why I had to lock the door last year.
But I do. I think that's a huge testament to your healing, Sarah. Hello.
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 Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Now you sound like Lee. You sound like she has an Australian accent now.
Oh.
Anybody else? Go for it, Rhonda.
So I just wanted to share that I did really enjoy this group. I know I've kind of been quiet a little bit, which is usually pretty odd for me to stay quiet, but I enjoy like listening to everybody. And I really felt that this group has made me stay present, you know, through Thanksgiving and through Christmas. And I think
Good.
it was really good for me to log at first when I first joined, because this is my first year, but our third Christmas with Julia Not in Body. And I was like, oh my God, we have to meet like 4 times a week. But I was like looking forward to it. And then like, I don't want to say it, like almost like it gave me something to really look forward to, like to just really, I was able to like listen to everyone, and I was interested in everyone's conversations and what they were going through. And it was nice. It was like a little family, like our little like holiday family just meeting every other
Absolutely.
day, you know,
Yeah.
because yeah, and it really did keep me in the present. And I think that's what I personally needed that.
I love that.
Because,
And it's like
yeah.
a collective energy bump, because when all of us come together and there is so much spiritual connection, there's a collective energy here that, I mean, do you guys feel it when you get off Zoom? There's a little, for me, on the nights that we Zoom, it takes me longer to go to sleep because I'm buzzing. I buzz a little bit. My vibration's very high from the collective energy, and I'll buzz a little bit. So I'm like, oh shit, I gotta come back down to the earth plate, you know? So that may be some of that, Rhonda, is like you get a bit of a vibration boost, you know, from the collective energy that's brought too.
Yeah, I really think so. And it, you know, it was nice to look forward to something different all the time. You know, it wasn't, you know, the meditations and the gallery reads and just the card pulling I enjoyed. I like that little bit of something every couple of days. Like that really
Yeah.
helped me a lot. And, you know, because you know, just like, well, some people, you know, especially me, you know, the family dynamics and the situation for this holiday, and you know, since she left Body, it's been very different. And I mean extremely different. It's just the 3 of us now, my husband and my older daughter. But before, it was, you know, my parents would come up from Florida and my mother-in-law would come down. So we've always had like this tradition, and I always hated it. You know, we don't have a big family, but it's like they would come down. It would be like so intense because they would stay for, you know, because they were coming from different places. So they would stay for so long. And I'm like, do I kind of really enjoy this? Like, if anything good came from this, it was her, you know, like with her not being here in physical, is that, you know, now I get to, I don't want to say enjoy Christmas, but it really honestly wasn't that bad this year, I have to
You
say.
get to have the freedom to do what you want to do instead of feeling obligated to do things that are tradition. And I think
Yes,
that's a
yeah.
huge takeaway, Rhonda. And having the awareness come about of that is a huge takeaway. You know, because for a lot of us, when we step into our freedom and surrender, and like things are going to look very different. And if you get tied to the nostalgia of how things have always been, a lot of grief can come up simply because of that. And so I love that you've been able to step into like, I kind of like it. I kind of like not to have to entertain people, you
Mhm.
know?
And I
So
did,
I
and I
think
was
that's
perfectly
awesome.
happy cooking for my little, our little trio here.
Yeah,
And I felt like, wow, I get to do what I want. I mean, of course, I would love to have her here instead, but I kind of surrendered to it and said, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to be okay. And it was like, I put that intent out there, and it was just
absolutely.
very helpful. This whole program, Nikki, was very helpful, and I'm very happy that I did it.
I'm so glad that you joined us too. And that's the thing about the other classes. And even those of you, I mean, Lee knows, Lee and Debbie knows, sometimes I'll just do a pop-up class for people who have been, they're in their healing, they're integrating, they're doing all the things, but sometimes they just need the collective energy boost and to be around their people. And they'll come in not expecting to even learn a damn new thing, but just to come in and be like, I just want to be with my people for 3 days this week or whatever, so I love it. I'm so glad that you joined us. And it's okay, we have people that have been in the program for 3 years that sit back and they're like sponges and they just soak it in. And so it's okay if you don't want to talk, that's okay too, as long as you've taken something away. If I say, if you guys walk away with one thing, one single thing, then it's a win. There's been purpose in it. Of course, Kathy and I, we pile on the activities that way, because we always want to make sure you're getting your money's worth, but also you have the freedom to attend or to not attend, or to pick what you do attend, pick what you don't attend, even though I give you all shit if you don't attend the coaching stuff, just because, I'm sassy. But so I'm so glad you joined us. And I think that's I love hearing all the wins, big, small, medium. I all of that's transformative. And it helps Kathy and I know that we're not doing this for nothing too, so I appreciate it too. Oh, you're muted, sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was unmuted. I mean muted, unmuted, whatever. So I feel like going through the next, I don't know what's coming up next. I can't even think about it because we just got through the Christmas. But I feel like whatever is gonna happen next, I'm not anticipating it. I feel like, I just know that I can walk myself through all the steps and just ground myself and just use the tools and just constantly keep myself in the present. And I find
Absolutely.
it's like I made a little shift, I think, like that keeping myself in the present is so valuable. Like
That's the
I
most
can't even
powerful
tell you.
thing. That's
Yeah.
where your point of power is always in the present moment. If you can conquer that, surrender will become much easier for you, because just like you're like, I don't even know what's coming next. Fabulous. I don't want you sitting there worried about what's
Mhm.
coming next and how you're going to conquer it. You stay present in each moment, each day. And that's how you do it. That was one of the biggest gifts with Leaf's leaving body, was I learned how to be very present. And after that came, I learned how to surrender into the present moment and not have to worry about what had happened or what was going to happen. Because I knew that, just like you said, I have the tools that whatever came, I could move through it. So I think that's huge.
Right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, I'm gonna go because my plane's gonna take off, and I'm gonna be making sure I'm on it.
Yes, make sure you're on it, girl. Make sure you're on it.
Get me the hell out of here. So I can second to what Rhonda says. One of the biggest takeaway for me was there were so many meetings. Like if I missed one, I didn't mean it, but it was just so I could look forward to it. I'm like, oh, do I have a meeting tonight? And it wasn't just like once a week. I mean, it was great that it was constant. It just seemed constant. You know, you'd
Good.
have a couple of days and then, oh, no, forget it. And because it was the way it was so different every time, but it kept my focus. It kept me in the now, in the present. And I just don't think I could have, I'm sure I would have done it without it, but it was definitely a game changer to have this group. I don't think I've been in a group like this one that has so many different takes on it. Like, I mean, even the time frame, you know, my husband's like, how many hours was that? I'm like, I don't know, the more the better, the more the better, you know.
However long we go, usually.
I'm like, yep. But it's definitely a learning curve for me for the, you know, the believe. I feel that I know that I'm going to get there.
Absolutely,
And
you will.
it just takes the amount of work. You know, I'm having trouble staying at my full-time, part-time job because I just want to do this constantly.
I can relate to that, especially when you first start learning. But we're gonna get you there, Kim. Like we start next week, or we start this week, actually. We're starting this week, you know, and we're gonna start building. You've already passed hope and you're sticking your toes into belief. And so, and you've got all of this validation just from being in here and a ton of information. And we're just going to keep building. We're going to build, 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 build. So you may find that it's actually going to be easier for you to start like being a little more focused with your earth side, because you're still going to know, oh, okay, well, I'm going to meet with Nikki on this. Like, we'll just keep building. Yeah. So it's kind of like that will be your set time with him. And so, and this is something I had to learn to do. It was like, okay, Leaf, I'm going to start devoting this many hours a day to you and my seeking. And then I'm going to start integrating here. So you'll be able to start balancing a little bit better, you know? And once you really get your whole foot into the belief pool, that will get easier for you too. And to be able to kind of focus on your earth side stuff. You know what I mean? So, but that shows that you have a thirst for healing and you have a thirst for connection and a thirst for knowledge. That's not a bad thing, right? That's not a bad thing.
Okay, so one of my issues, if you want to call it that, is the guilt. There's a little bit of guilt if I'm not, like, if I'm okay. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, of course, absolutely. We've all felt that. And so that is your ego self-talking. We're going to talk a lot about ego in the upcoming sessions, right? That any lower vibrational emotion like that is always going to come from the ego self. I would love that you're aware of it. And that's just showing that there's still a disconnect because you're not full. You haven't moved from belief to knowing yet. While you're in belief, those lower vibe emotions, the ego stuff, that's just showing us where we need to tame it. And you and I are going to work on specific activities to deal with that nuanced piece. But for right now, what you need to start saying is, you know what, ego, I am okay right now. He wants me okay. Like this is the actual goal. So I'm going to sit in it. And because you have to remember, the ego self knows nothing about spirit. So to the ego self, it's like, oh, you're okay right now with your kid being dead. And you just have to be like, ego, I know you don't, bless your heart. I was really mean to mine. Now I can be like, bless your heart. But I was like, I know. I was super mean to mine. But it's like, you literally talk to it and be like, ego, you don't know what I'm learning. Like, he's not dead. So yeah, I am okay because I'm learning now. I'm going to be learning how to connect with him. I'm learning that he's not dead and gone like you thought, like I thought. So just talk to your ego. And it's really, there are going to be a lot of big shifts in this area for you, Kim, but you're right where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be feeling some guilt when you start feeling better. So we're just going to get your awareness open of your ego self versus your spirit self. And I'll tell you, and you can ask anybody that's done this part of the work. Once you have that recognition, it's a game changer. Now, there's a lot of work that goes into taming it, but once you have the recognition of how it's speaking to you, and it can be a sneaky little devil too. It's a game changer, because then you can just be like, ego. You want the ego to be in the passenger seat and your spirit to be in the driver's seat. Right now, you're having that battle where it's still grabbing the wheel and saying, I'm in the driver's seat. And you're like, no, you're not. Totally normal, Kim. Totally normal. Okay.
So it must be, it goes along with it that I feel further away from Kyle at that point too.
Absolutely. Because when your ego's in the driver's seat, it makes you feel disconnected because ego doesn't know about spirit. So ego is earth focused. So in ego's perspective, he's dead and gone. In your spiritual perspective, he's ever available to you. So we're gonna bridge that chasm though. It's gonna get less and less until you can move into your actual knowing and be like, ego. And then eventually it will stop telling you that, because you will have taught your ego self that. And then it's going to start telling you other stuff. It is good. Ego taming is always going to be there in some regard. You saw with Debbie when Debbie was like, sorry to call you out, Debbie Johnson, but it was like when Debbie was like, I don't know if I can go back to work. She's tamed her ego with Isaac, but now her ego started acting up in terms of her going back to work. So she had to recognize it. She had to tame it. And now she's back to work and stepping into letting her spirit lead that. So this is actually a gift that it's acting up on you, because it's going to offer us the means to be able to recognize it in this context, tame it. And that way, as you move further out and you're in your knowing and the life stuff, it starts becoming about shadow work and life stuff. You can then more easily recognize it in that context. So you got the training wheels on. We're going to keep learning to ride the bike, and we're just going to keep moving forward with it. So yeah. So you just tell yourself right now, ego, shush, I'm not disconnected. I had to tell myself that, like, I'm not disconnected. He's always available, because you're doing the dance between two paradigms right now.
Yeah.
You're doing the, so that's part of the rewiring process. Yeah.
Okay. I am so excited.
I am too. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. I think you've built a great foundation to start with by being in the program too, because you've taken in a lot of information over the last 6 weeks, So yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. You're
I
welcome.
love this program.
I'm so glad that it helped and that you've enjoyed it. I'm excited to work with you privately. I think you're going to grow leaps and bounds, girl. Leaps and bounds.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to leave this place.
Leave the Zoom. Have a safe flight home.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good stuff.
Well, I haven't said much tonight, but really, I think I've just had such a weird 6 weeks or so anyway, with between my health and my granddaughter being born, and but then I think, I don't know how I would have got through all that craziness without this group, because it gave me something to, I don't know, go back to and focus on. And I really didn't want to miss any of them. I think I missed 4, and every one of them pissed me off when I had to miss them, because I really wanted to be here. But yeah, it's helped me a lot. I think I'm probably just at maybe the belief stage, and just, not quite figured out how to move forward yet,
and that's okay. And guys, the belief stage, my dogs are getting ready to be let out, so they're going to have a fit, just so you know. But the belief stage lasts a while.
Yeah.
I will tell you, like, it's the longest stretch, right? So
Mhm.
if you're just in the beginning of that, just be glad that you made it to that part. Because think
Yeah.
of all the hundreds of parents that never even get there. Like
Mhm.
you're ahead of the game, Rita. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah. So, and I'm glad that you were able to come in even with all of that stuff going on and still get your collective energy boost. You know,
right.
it helps center you back into your spiritual center and your spiritual truth.
Mhm,
So when
mhm.
you're dealing with a ton of earth side stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I wasn't expecting, you know, any of that. I just thought it was just going to be a, you know, a crappy holiday season, you know. And then it was like, yeah, Lord, all these things. So, but yeah, you know, I'm just really glad to have been here. It's
Well,
helped
I'm
me
glad.
tremendously.
I'm so glad that you joined us, and I'm glad that, oh my gosh, Cooper's freaking out. And I'm glad that you were able to find some solace here when
Mhm,
it did get so hectic and crazy for you.
mhm.
Like, I think that's a huge testament. And, you know, I'm excited to see you keep going forward with this too.
Yeah,
You know, I think it's
yeah.
going to be great. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I plan on I'm gonna be watching what you offer next and what all you got out there, and you
Yeah,
know,
and
just,
guys, get into the big group and you know, piddle around in all the resources. I mean, goodness gracious, there's a lot built up in there too. So you guys are gonna go far. You've built a
yeah.
great foundation over the last 6
Mhm.
weeks, you
And
know.
I'm still working on Warrior Week. My sister, who actually also lost a son a couple of years before I lost Patrick, she lives on the Atlantic coast, you know, about 4
Mhm.
hours from you, I guess, something like that. And if I could talk her into going to that with me, that would be awesome. But I
That'd be
don't know
great.
that I can, because I've tried to get her to, you know, do some of these other things that I'm doing. And she's just like, you know, oh my gosh, you're letting people steal your money, you know? And I'm like, you know, because she is such a non-believer in, you know, and I'm like, look, I really think if you would listen to some of this and, you know, do some of this, you know, that it would help you tremendously, you know, with having lost Aaron too, you know. So
Yeah. And
um
you can plant the seeds, Rita, but she's got to
I
inevitably be the
know.
one to water them. And that is a
Yeah,
hard thing.
yeah.
It is a hard thing to have to watch, you know,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're finding so much healing and then you're sitting here watching somebody else. You know, Kathy and I have had to get really good at like recognizing people that we can't help.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
hard and it's sad.
I bet it is hard. Yeah.
It was very hard the first few years. It was like, oh, we just want everybody to know that this is possible, and you know,
Yeah.
there's so much healing, and it's gotten to the point now it's like, and we can usually spot them from a mile away. It's like
Mhm.
there's nothing I'm going to be able to say that is going to shift this person. You
Yeah.
know, this is the
Yeah.
identity they've taken on.
We can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves.
Right.
We
Right.
And
can't
that's
want it. We, as much as we want it for every single one of you,
Yeah.
we can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself.
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
that's what cognitive dissonance is.
Yes.
So there are a lot of people with cognitive dissonance
Yes.
within the bereaved community, unfortunately. But you know,
Sadly.
you keep planting the seeds and keep
Mhm.
working
Mhm.
on your healing. And if
Mhm.
nothing else, once you're thriving again and living your best life, you
Mhm.
know, maybe at that point she'll be like,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I
how'd she
did
do
get
that?
her to admit to me that she said, I sometimes I think maybe Aaron is with me and leaves me signs. And I said, absolutely he is, you know.
First step, girl,
So
first
yeah.
step.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, you know, she's a little farther along, you know, because it's probably been, I think, 5 years since Aaron crossed. So yeah, maybe I can eventually, but you know, my other thought is she'll be mad at me if I come to Florida and don't visit her. So I'm like, well, if you can come with me,
There you go.
drive across the state and go with me.
Yeah. You know, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing for her to see a group of bereaved mothers who are living their
No,
best life.
no, it wouldn't. It really
You
wouldn't. Yeah, it would be awesome.
So, yeah,
So,
definitely. I hope you can come. And I'm so
yeah.
glad that you joined us. You know, and it's okay, guys, extend yourself grace if you couldn't hit. Like, we cram packed the 6 weeks,
Yeah.
ladies. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. But we do that because we know that not everybody can always get to everyone. So we always want there to
Mhm.
be another one coming up that you can hit.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you've got the recordings too. So you
Yes.
have access to it all. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss any of them though. And the one that I had to miss last week was the breathing thing. And I actually thought about doing it from my hospital bed. And then I thought, I don't think I could do that right now.
No, it's pretty intense breath work. I don't know that that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I ended up
It's
deciding.
probably extremely divinely timed that you
Right.
missed that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
decided that was probably not the best idea.
yeah, probably not the best timing for
No.
that one.
Mhm.
So, but go back and try it. And Dave does, you know, he does a free breath work for women and a free breath work for everybody. He does one each a week. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for being with us, Rita. I'm so glad you joined us.
Thank you, girls.
Kate and Debs, are you gonna talk? You love how I just call them out because they've been in the program for a long time. I'm just like, you two gonna talk or not? Debbie W.
I I don't really know where to start, except that I loved the program this year. It was a lot of variety. There was a lot of stuff going on. You know, I'm in a lot of groups and I do a lot of Zooms and stuff, but a lot of people weren't doing stuff at Christmas time. So that helped me out, kept me busy and out of trouble. And I had a reading with Karina yesterday or today. I don't feel too great. And it was fantastic. I actually was bawling. She had me bawling. She actually mentioned the support group and that I had helped some of the moms and you know, with the readings. She didn't say the readings, but she mentioned that. So obviously it was that because that's all it could be. So all in all, it was a win. All my lights didn't get up, but everybody got presents and it was a good year. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
And Debbie and I are going to the gym on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Our New Year's and one of our intentions is to go to the gym. So we're going Thursday. Yeehaw.
Yep.
We're both thrilled about it. Can you hear the excitement in our voice? All right, Kate.
Hi.
It's all you.
Cool. Yeah, so I didn't go to that many. And mostly that's because it's been a crazy busy holiday season. Being in two places is a lot of work. So I was never around, which Nikki yelled at me every time.
I didn't yell. I just was stern.
Sternly reminded me that I was not present. Which I knew. But you know, that again, I'm just gonna go ahead and say what Nikki was saying. That's a testament to my healing.
It is.
This is my third year. Yeah, it's my third year. And you know, I do talk to Nikki frequently during our friendship visits. So I'm usually
which I distinctly, if it's coaching, I mark off her package hours for.
Yeah, I probably owe you money, but yeah, no, so I usually maintain a pretty good vibe. This year was super different because I thought I was going to be in control of how I wanted it to go, and the universe had other plans for me. So I was reminded also in a very sternly friendly way to just go with the fucking flow, and I'm really glad that you know, I have that reminder, and I'm glad that this group was here
because like all of the other old ones, it's a security blanket this time of year. This was the first year without calves, and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I had said that for a year. I didn't know how this was going to go. I thought I was going to control the whole thing and do what I wanted to do and get the fuck out of Dodge. And the universe was like, just kidding. Not everyone's ready for you to do that yet, Kate. So I had to do what I was pre-planned, and it worked out fine. And you know, here I am. I will say though, I think it's awesome, and I'm taking note of this, that so many of you talked about the benefit that your kids are getting from your healing. And I just have to say that that's fucking amazing. And I see you and I see all your kids, and keep fucking doing it, because without us passing on what we're learning and what we know, like it's just, there's so much hope, you know, there's so much hope for the future of like what the change that like we're making, that their kids are going to tell their friends. I mean, I've seen it with like, you know, the 5 kids and all those kids' friends that come over to my house for Mama Kate's and stuff. Like, it's such a huge impact that we are able to make. And like, good for you guys for sharing it with your kids, even if they think it's weird, you know, whatever, they'll get over it. But I think it's super important, and I think it's awesome, and good job. I love it. I love it.
We're all gonna send big energy because today is the first going home. Kavi's journey towards home started today, a year ago, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Tonight actually was, so yeah, it started his journey home. He had a coronary or cardiac episode tonight, and then it will be like so whatever. It was my journey in the hospital. Those of you that did that shit, you know what that is. But it was the way that Nikki had framed this for me yesterday when I was telling her my trepidations about this week, was like, but you know, like I know my truth, and I knew my truth during that period, and I never allowed the trauma to sink in the way that it could have without my knowing. So now, reflecting on it a year later, I'm at a spot where I know that like today's the start of his journey home. I know what happened a year ago today, that reflecting on it, I know this was like his first hello. Today was his first hello from his brother. Like, hey buddy, you're coming to hang out with me now, you know? And like, I'm not sad about that. Like, I'm like, thank fucking God somebody, you know, like Jesus, like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sad about it. I'm like, I'm glad. I'm celebrating. I lit candle today. I cleansed my house. I did what I needed to do, and I feel good. I feel like Javi is at home with his brother, and they are at home here with me always, and they're with us everywhere we go at both of our houses. So it's good. But yeah.
That's big shift.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had our talk yesterday.
Me too.
And did you order your American Girl coffee doll yet?
Oh, I know. Hey, my mom asked me that too. I got to get on that. I really do. I mean, like, it's a girl, but whatever. Kavi is the American Girl doll of the year, by the way, people. It's amazing because Kavi is a really different name. So yeah, very cool. Good stuff.
Well, I'm glad that you joined us, and I'll see you in 9 days. So.
Yes.
So I want to thank all of you again for joining us, for engaging, for joining the Zooms that you could, for engaging in the thread discussions. I hope that you will continue your gratitude. Sharon, are you going to talk? I never know if you're going to talk or if you're just sponging it all up, because you're like the sponge too.
I'm kind of okay either way.
Well, I would love it for you to share.
How about if
I'm not going to force you to, though.
How about if I'll share what I was kind of playing with while we were talking. I have a hard time just listening, so my hands happen to be busy. So okay. I was kind of playing with the vision board thing, but I was doing this earlier today with my painting group, and it was kind of cool. You did 6 energies. The pink ones around the outside are 6 energies that you want to bring into the new year, and then the green ones are the things that are in your way. So it's
Nice.
contrast.
Yeah,
And it's your ego and your spiritual self. No,
absolutely.
I've never done that before this way, but I think it's pretty cool because instead of
Yeah.
just being, oh, I want happiness, you're like, well, why don't you have happiness? And then you can kind of look at it and go, oh, because of whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and then you paint over this. So it ends up just being energy that's in the painting. You don't really keep this part of it. It kind of disappears with it.
yeah, it's digging into some shadow work stuff, actually.
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was really cool. So it
Yeah,
was-
very cool.
so
Very
a lot
cool.
of everything with this program has gone very hand in hand with that stuff that I've been working on too, which I've really appreciated because everybody in that painting group is now dealing with grief.
Right.
So it kind of like, it's helped me understand things better from both sides,
Good.
which I really
Good.
liked.
Do you feel like you've had any takeaways from the program or any kind
You know
of
what?
shifts?
Pretty much everything's been said. I really like the grief soup. I like the discerning what's real grief and what's just crap. I like the
It's the
measured
peas.
progress.
It's the peas. That's the crap. It's the peas.
I like the idea of the measured progress.
Yeah.
I did start after our last Zoom meeting, I did start to write down all the things that I was kind of dealing with and trying to
Mhm.
figure out the gifts in them. And I still struggle a little bit with that part of it. That ended up being a really bad day though, because then I was really just sort of frustrated with other people, which ultimately wasn't them, it was me. But
Mhm.
I wasn't very nice. So that wasn't fun.
Some days the ego wins. Girl.
Yeah,
Some days the ego wins.
So, but it's all been really interesting. It's been good. And it has
Good.
been a lot, but I've really enjoyed it too. And I've enjoyed getting to know people and, you know, the commonalities are helpful.
Yeah, it's, always good to see people that are walking where you've walked, people that are walking with you now, people that are walking ahead of you, so that you can know where you can still learn and grow, and you can look at measure progress to where you've been. So yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I was on Healing Warrior, the being group for a while, and frankly, you scared me a little bit. So
I
it
can
took
be a
me a
little-
while to
I
like,
can be well, especially when it's in type, because you don't get like my sassy, nuanced stuff
oh
like
no, I
in
think you
type,
do.
and I can be kind of intimidating because I'm pretty damn authentic, and I don't mince words, especially when I'm typing. I mean, usually when I type, you guys know I look drunk or illiterate because I just type blah, 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 however it comes out, right? So, and I don't go back and reread it usually because it's just like, so it's usually extremely direct. And I mean, sometimes I piss people off, and I'm okay with that. But I'm glad you gave me a chance and have gotten to know me so that you can see that every single thing that I ever type is always done with the best intention. There's never any malice in it.
I think you have endless amounts of information to share, and I actually like your approach. I like the directness of it. But yeah, I'm glad I took a chance too.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you did too. And now when you're in the big group, like you'll be able to hear me speaking the words instead of just typing. Becky's like, oh yeah, I thought she was a bitch too. So,
Not a
but
bit, just scary.
it's just like I don't placate well. I don't coddle. And it's because there is information to be told. So if I spend 5 minutes saying, oh, Becky, it's okay, I understand, I just want to say, Becky, like, here's your shift. This is what to look at, like, bam, bam, bam. And so people think I'm cold sometimes because I'm not like, oh, Becky, I'm sorry that you're hurting. Like, of course I'm sorry you're hurting, but like, you want to know how not to hurt? Bam, bam, bam. Here's what you're going to do. So, that gets lost in translation a lot, especially in type, of course. So I think people can think that I'm coarse sometimes. But usually it's just because I'm not, I can seem uncompassionate, but I'm not, or I wouldn't be doing and giving the information.
Sure.
To me, it's like, you guys get that from everybody. So like, I'm here to like say, bam, 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 here's the information. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know I probably need to work on being more gentle sometimes, but I just don't know if I have
There's
it in
no
me.
time for that.
So thank you for giving us a chance. I do appreciate that. And for any of you, have you all been intimidated by me in the big group at some point? Okay. I'm like, is this something I need to be looking at within my internal self? Okay.
Actually, your bluntness is like my favorite thing. The first one of these meetings we had, I was like, I told my friend, you would love this girl. She's like, just says it like it is, you know.
When you throw Kathy and I together, and it's like, there are no words going to be. She's actually a little bit better than me at mincing the words sometimes and being a little more compassionate. So, you know, but it's like you guys have those people. Like you have the people that are going to say, oh, come here. I'm sorry. Like that's not, and I do feel for y'all, but like that's apparently not my
That's why
job.
we found ourselves
you
here,
know,
though. We already
yeah.
had that. You
Yeah,
know,
that's why I
it
have to
wasn't
do
doing
the
it.
that's why I have to do the disclaimer at the first class when I'm like, I'm not gonna mince words, I'm not gonna coddle you, I am gonna cuss and I am gonna chomp on my gum because I've made people mad in classes for all those things. But it's like, if that's gonna offend you, you probably need to bow out now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I appreciate all of you always allowing Kathy and I to light the torch and lead the way for you guys. We really do, you know, walk what we talk, and we don't do it with ease. Like we're both working shadow work and life stuff now. We're good with our grief, but you know, the tools that we tell you guys to use, we still practice with whatever context we're practicing it. You know what I mean? So I think that's what brings us all together, is that we're all willing to do the work and continue to do the work. And you're never going to see Kathy or I be like, oh, we've been there, we know that, because we're still doing our own life work stuff, our own shadow work stuff, and we're using the same tools just in a different context. So I so appreciate, and I'm always very humbled that you guys trust us. You know, the information that we feed you is information that we've picked up from here and here and here and here and here. And if some of it resonates, great. If some of it doesn't, that's okay too. You know, just the fact that everybody's willing to come together and have an open mind and be willing to learn, and be willing, you know, if nothing else, for all of us, it's always a good lesson in ego, right? And realize where you're closed off, realize where you're open, and if you're teachable, if you're willing to learn and integrate and understand, and we all just keep moving forward. And this is how you eventually walk into thriving. Okay, lots of work from here on out, guys. Lots of self-care. I can't ever stress that enough. Like lots of self-care. You have a day, curl in bed, binge watch some, you know, bad TV, whatever it is. Take breaks from your spiritual seeking. Take time to integrate it and actually live it, and not just read it and speak it, but live it. That's what makes the difference. Okay. But until then, I appreciate all of you coming in. I appreciate all of the engagement. We always appreciate all the trust you put in us. It is an honor and a privilege, quite honestly, to walk with you and your children, to get to know you guys and your children. And it feeds us just as much as it feeds you. And I appreciate all the collective knowledge that everybody always brings to the table. All of you that have done pop-ups, thank you. I love that we had so many pop-ups this year. That's so much fun that we can just be like, oh, pop-up class or pop-up Zoom. I think that adds a little bit of spice into it. So that's always fun too. You know, and I look forward to continuing working with you guys on whatever level, if it's in the big group, if it's in private coaching, if it's in more of the classes, if it's at Warrior Week. I don't actually coach at Warrior Week though, quite honestly, but you know, whatever it looks like. So on that note, I will hand it over to Kathy to pull our last card of the 2022 holiday program, and then we'll do our closeout. And don't forget, those energetic tools we use at closeout, guys, the surrounding, protecting, the cord cutting, the calling your power back, integrate those into your daily ritual. Start using those in your daily life and make it part of your earth life so you can stay more spiritually centered. Okay. All right, Kath, it's all you.
Okay, for the last card, and I'm sorry I haven't posted the card from the other night. I'll post both of them tonight. I've been drowning in snot. and I have bronchitis and had to go back to work today. But anyway, so I'll post 2 cards. I'll post the card from the Rainbow Warrior deck the other night and this one that we draw tonight. I'll post both of them in the group. I'm going to draw tonight from the Sacred Spirit reading deck, reading cards, because I just really have come to love this deck a lot. Ooh, number 33. Soul. Let me turn off the blur so you can see it. Number 33, Soul Fragments is this one. Okay. And the little tagline is balance will be restored. Reclaim your inner power. The life of our soul is infinite, and while aspects of the self are never truly lost, they can separate through times of trauma, grief, separation, loss, or refusing to deal with an issue. The psyche's self-preservation causes this illusionary disconnection as it chooses to distance itself from the situation in question. These fragments are merely in places our consciousness has chosen to forget to spare the emotional turmoil from an intense emotional experience. Recalling these fragments with love, healing, and understanding allows the soul to continue moving forward without the individual feeling stuck in the past or unable to get over an issue or event. Empowering and liberating, retrieval is recommended if you feel you are missing parts of yourself. Although sometimes challenging to find, conscious thought and skillful self-awareness is all that is required to recall a soul fragment back to its host. Seek a professional guide if you feel more comfortable. Currently, you may be feeling incomplete, not like yourself, physically flat with no motivation, lacking joy in your life, or even that you are unable to move forward in life. Right now, your soul needs to reclaim a part of its missing memory. Past trauma that is being held within you is crying out to be healed. Through recollection, you will be able to see the truth and the situation for what it is. Be careful. You are entering a period in which you will be challenged emotionally. Build your resilience and remain objective. Fear-based experiences need to be addressed now. Past life regression could be beneficial to create understanding of phobias, deep-seated fears, or subconscious patterns that have previously controlled areas of your life. Reclaim your power.
I'd say that's fitting.
Yeah, just a little.
Kathy is not happy with that message, apparently.
No, I feel like that was just pointed right directly at me. Thanks,
I think
Spirit.
it probably pointed at a lot of people in a lot of different contexts. But yeah, I mean, who all resonates with that in some context within their life? Kathy's like, I'm not raising my hand.
Well, of course it. Well, and for you guys that don't know, if Nikki had let y'all in 5 minutes earlier than she did tonight, y'all would have seen me having a gigantic meltdown because I have all this earth shit going on and I hate my job and I want to leave my job, but I don't want to be unstable and I don't want to be where I am anymore because technically I am totally alone where I live now. I have one friend who's a coworker at work, but we don't really hang out after work or anything. So while she's a friend and I've known her for like 11 years online, we don't really do a lot of stuff together outside of work. But since my husband died, I'm basically totally alone where I am. And so I have all this battles of Mordor going on inside my head. For those of y'all that know Lord of the Rings will understand that. And I was having like a huge meltdown because I want to be gone, but I don't want it. Yeah. So I feel like that was totally directly aimed at me. Thanks.
You're dealing with that trust the universe surrender thing.
Yeah, surrender is really, really, really hard for Kathy because Kathy's a control freak at the end of the day.
How many of you can relate to that?
Yeah. Yeah. Kathy likes to know what's happening, when it's happening, how it's happening, what Kathy's got to do to make it happen. Yeah. So surrender is really, really tough for me. And I told Nikki, I'm like almost to the point where I just want to go in and look at my boss and go, you know what? I'm fucking out of here. See you, bye.
You know what
then
Nikki says?
then there's this
Do it.
part of me
Do
that's
it.
like, then there's this part of me that's like, oh my God, no, because then I can't pay my bills. Oh my God. Yeah. So I have a lot of inner struggles going on right now.
I am so right there with you on all of that. I swear, it's just
and of course, it, the holidays and being alone at the holidays, and we had that huge like blizzard shit going on
yeah.
here, and now I've been sick and really weepy and feeling sorry for myself. So y'all don't think that I'm sitting over here out of it just eating bonbons and farting unicorns, because it ain't like that. I wish it was, but it ain't.
Yeah.
You'll get there. It'll be okay.
Well, yeah, it will be eventually at some point.
See, everybody has to work on surrender all the time. So just know, and that's the thing. You got to remember to tell yourself that after you surrender to this, there's going to be more surrender coming, guys. That's why you're on the earth plane. So if you continue to look at it as a pain in your ass about surrendering, instead of that, it's literally part of being incarnated, then you're going to struggle with it. You have to surrender to the surrender, literally. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to close this out with these obnoxious dogs of mine. Cooper, you have to be quiet. Oh, he's not going to listen to me. All right, ladies. On that note, go for it. Lee, do you want to say something, or are you leaving?
No, I've got to go. Sorry, I have to leave.
Okay.
I've got to control my pets.
Do your
So thanks so much.
Do your cord cutting and everything.
I've got it printed on the fridge. I will. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lee. Okay, guys, everybody take a nice big deep breath in and get relaxed. Stretch your neck a little bit. Close your eyes. Visualize and repeat after me. Archangel Michael.
Archangel Michael.
Archangel Azrael.
Archangel Azrael.
Please come down.
Please come down.
Cut all energetic cords.
Cut all energetic cords.
That drain me.
That drain me.
That feed me negativity.
That feed me negativity.
That don't allow me to stand in my highest purpose.
And that don't allow me to stand in my highest purpose.
Please surround and protect me in divine white light.
Please surround and protect me in divine white light.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and so it is.
All right, get the energy moving through your hands, moving through your hands. Spirit hands. Clapping also increases the energy through your body. All right, deep breath in, palms up. Close your eyes and visualize. After you say, I call all of my power back to me now.
I call all of my power back to me now.
See those beams of light coming in from each other all over the world. If you've been online, any of your coworkers, families, anybody you have spoken to or been in contact with in any way, shape, or form today. All of those beams of light coming in from them, centering into the palms of your hands, Feel the palms of your hands. They may get tingly. They may get warm. When they hit there, those beams converge and they turn to liquid light. Take note of the color as your body cavity feels as it seeps down into the forearms, into the elbows. It spreads as it spreads its warmth and its light as it moves up through your upper arms and the shoulders, in through your chest space, up through your neck and into your head. It can balance and open chakras, cleanse chakras as it moves through, opening the third eye, healing inflammation, any dis-ease as it moves back down into your chest space, opening the heart as it moves down through the ribs, into your upper abdomen, seeping down, flowing through to the lower abdomen, into the buttocks, from the pelvic girdle and the hips. Take note of the color changes. You may start to feel flushed as it moves into the upper thighs, spreading down to the knees, down through the lower legs and calves, into the ankles and the heels of the foot as it spreads through the feet and every single tip of each and every toe. Step out of your body and turn and look as your body radiates with your divine power that connects you to source, to self, to your child, to your children. Feel into your body, see how it feels, take note of the color, and then say thank you, and so it is. All right, ladies. Thank you again for being with us these 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing where you all go on your journeys, where you continue to go on your journeys. Thank you for trusting us. And other than that, sleep with angels. Yeah, Brenda.
Can you
Thanks,
send me
Kathy.
a copy?
Thanks.
Can you send me a
Thanks, Nikki.
copy of that thing? The saying and everything after so I can write it down?
I'll post it in the group so you can save it to your phone.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sis.
All right,
Lynn,
bye.
were you
Thank
going to
you.
say something?
No, I was just gonna say thank you.
Okay, you're
All of
welcome.
everybody.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks for
guys.
everything, guys.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.